What's up, everybody? It is Monday night, October 5th, 2020. We are back. This is Breakfast Soup Raw. Seems like the name is starting to stick. I am Don Toni, your podfather, and join along with me tonight is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. How's it going there, DT?
I was going to do the whole Seth Rollins shtick, just so everybody understands and so you understand. I am the Messiah. You are the disciple. All right? Just get that through your head. I am the Messiah. You are the disciple. How childish is this? I am the Messiah. You are the disciple. Apologize. It's like so many of these storylines are so similar. If you think about Roman Reigns, show up, win, leave. It's almost like Brock Lesnar, what was it? Eat, sleep, win the belt, repeat, and then you got, Roman Reigns, just call me the tribal chief. Just apologize. Call me the tribal chief. Just call me Messiah. These storylines are so similar, I don't even think people realize it.
It's corny, man. Seth is absolutely outstandingly cornball. I don't know. See, and I kind of brought it up on social media. I'm like, you know what? Back in the day, the heel would have been nice. He would have been altruistic. He would have done something to throw everybody at home off the scent. Like you weren't sure what the heel would do. But in this scenario, Seth's character is so one-dimensional, so cartoony, that he's absolutely an embarrassment on television. This character is an embarrassment. I can't stand Seth's character. It's literally cacas.
I can tolerate it because I like Seth Rollins. I mean, this is the WWE writing. By the way, I'm not trying to change the subject, but by the way, this is why I love doing shows with you on Mondays, and even when I do solo. Not Jason show, but solo as in by myself. We said 3 weeks ago that they were going to do a Romeo and Juliet storyline with Murphy and Aaliyah. And you saw a lot of the feedback. Why does it have to be romantic? Why do you immediately think this? And you start to see it come together. But we also brought up Stephanie and Test from the late 90s. And what was the thing that I said? That they made Stephanie look even younger by having like very plain clothes and nothing really sexy about her. And it just gave you more of like that next door person. And what did I say last week? That soon Aaliyah is gonna show up like dressed really like dressed to kill. And did you see tonight? She's dressed plain, a la Stephanie, late 90s, when she was getting, commingling with Test a little bit. It feels the same thing, just different actors and actresses.
You're not wrong. It's they're using that old school style of angle between Stephanie and Test. They're rehashing that same idea. I mean, in every way, Aaliyah is going to be technically the next Stephanie in this scenario.
I tell you,
I don't know. Do you think it helps the angle? Like, do you think if Aaliyah went out there and she was just knock 'em dead, wearing something that she would wear out to the club on a Friday night, do you think that would make the angle better or worse right now?
Right now, it would not make sense because you want her to be like the naive, almost sympathetic, like she doesn't understand. And the more that Dominic is basically saying, hey, stupid, get it through your head. Look at what these people did to our family. And then you have Ray, which she's naive. She's only 19. They're going to do that. And then Aaliyah's going to be like, no, I'm not naive. And I'm my own person. And I'm an adult. And I can do what I want, hang out with who I want, kiss who I want, and wear what I want. And she is going to dress up one night like Dress to Kill. That's the kind of PG way of saying it.
What you're actually saying is Aaliyah's going to have an OnlyFans by the end of the year.
Again, I just in talking in storyline. Why is Angie out there again? The potted plant with a nice ass. She's. Why is she out there? Why isn't Adam Pearce, coming out there and saying, look, familia, this is a wrestling show. Why do you keep coming out there? They got balls of steel all of a sudden. Look, I'm fine with the storyline. It doesn't take too much time during the night, but I don't get it. Why does she keep coming out there? Give me one reason why she keeps coming. I'm getting the Judy Bagwell vibes. It's like, why is she out there?
She's out there to keep the establishment that this is a familia issue. You know what I mean? That's what it is. That's the only reason she's out there. It is the potted plant scenario. The only reason she's out there is in order to complete the family circuit. Look, Ray and Dominic could do just fine out there, but you need the mom out there in order to disapprove of Aaliyah's direction with Buddy.
I don't know if she's got acting skills, but I will get it right this week, everybody. But something tells me when Aaliyah turns or Dominic turns, a major swerve in this storyline, I'll get it right, everybody, this week. Angie will be Helen Hart. Last week I made a mistake. I said Martha Hart. I know she's on the brain more because of Dark Side of the Ring and others, but I meant Helen Hart. Just think Tony Robbins' teeth. Like Helen Hart, she was adorable, a wonderful woman. Honestly, I have nothing bad to say about her. But that whole thing with Owen Hart trying to convince her to throw in the towel, I'm telling you, it looked like a Canadian female version of Tony Roberts. You couldn't tell if she was smiling happy that she just hit the lottery, or she just stepped on a nail, or she just got tragic news. She would just be out there going, and I got to see, I'm serious. For me, I'm looking more forward to seeing Angie's facial reactions when some major swerve happens in this storyline. And I want to see if she actually has some acting chops to her, or if she ends up just being a Latina version of Helen Hart. Because something tells me if Aaliyah comes out there dressed like a Bond, even if Aaliyah ends up going with Seth, which obviously is not going to happen, or if Dominic turns and joins up with Seth, which could very well still happen, I want to see if Angie is crying crocodile tears, or if she's just there going,
yeah, dude, she's awful. And there's no point to her other than to just keep reinforcing the idea that it's the Mysterio family. Yeah. There's really no point to her. If she does act, what is she going to do? Act surprised? Act shocked? So let's hope that her role stays minimal and that they don't start giving her a mic.
I'll say this. Say what you want about Vince being out of touch, and we'll talk about Twitch in a little bit because I have a few things to say about what is going on with that recently. But, one thing I will say as far as in the creative department, Vince obviously has, let me say it like this. Aaliyah has auditioned for this part, and Vince has to have seen her already act. And Vince and WWE Creative and Stephanie must really see something in her that they just think she is perfect for this role. So, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, By the way, Jody Moncrief, you want us to talk about Trump? Maybe Friday, comment a little bit. I talked yesterday on Patreon for about a half an hour about it. He's home in the White House. He's still battling COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really wants anything more than that tonight. But we do have a little bit of a swerve tonight. And honestly, if this is going to give him more opportunity, because one thing I think we could all agree on, that ever since he got injured and Kofi took his spot in the Elimination Chamber, Mustafa Ali has had a little bit of a bumpy creative ride in the WWE. So if this is going to give him a much higher profile on television, then I'm willing to take a wait-and-see approach. But when I look at the overall storyline, I'm a little bit confused as to why this guy, people are saying, is the leader of Retribution. I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense, since Ali has had opportunity on the main roster, and everything was more about the Performance Center being look, Ali makes sense to defect and join Retribution. My storyline idea with Kevin Owens, which I'll actually up the ante tonight a little bit. I still think that should happen. I think more members of WWE, notable names, should join Retribution. So this way you have household names in the group too. Ali, with all due respect, feels awfully random. What do you think about the fact that they're trying to portray that Ali is the leader of Retribution?
I'm the leader. Like, if he wants to be member 39, I'm okay with that. But
yeah, I don't care what the commentator said, everybody. I don't care what the commentator said.
I know the commentator didn't say that, but
it's about perception.
Dude, I can't see him as the leader. Look, let me put it to you this way. Samoa Joe couldn't even talk about Mustafa Ali and Retribution without laughing. That's not good, man. Yeah. And I love Samoa Joe. I think he's a great commentator, but the fact that he couldn't even talk about it without laughing at the silliness of it kind of gives you an idea of where they're going with this. Mustafa Ali does not inspire fear or respect or anything. I understand that the guy's had a decent career in WWE, but for him to be considered as a leader, I don't know. I can't digest that. That's not
my interpretation of this is, and this is my honest view on this. I don't work in creative. So what we say most of the time is discussion, opinion. We like to opine. So please, I stress this is opinion, everybody. But WWE started to do a hacker storyline that on paper at the time, because of the reports, if you go back to the first week that the hacker storyline came about, 2 weeks before, right, there was a big scandal in the news about attempted hacks with our government and other stuff. So it almost felt like somebody was watching the news and say, oh, we got to do a hacker storyline. But they had no conclusion. And obviously, Mustafa Ali was supposed to be the hacker. I mean, no offense, anyone, but if you go back and you look at all the segments, the symbol was Mustafa Ali's. Him doing the thing with the hand tonight, it's the same symbol as the hacker. So the problem is that as the weeks went by, it turned into Emma territory, where we went 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 11 weeks, 16 weeks, 19 weeks with this hacker story. And there were weeks where there was nothing, and it turned into a joke. So they pretty much just took it off TV and okay, we're going to have to revisit it sometime down the line. Or it'll end up be a funny joke when Stephanie cuts a promo years from now and almost like when they made fun of Mike Adamle, they'll say, oh, what about that hacker from back then? But what happened was, now with Antifa and the anarchists causing chaos in our country, somebody watched the news and said, we got to do a storyline like that on TV. And they started doing it. And you could see that they were just writing this as they were going along, because a lot of it just didn't make sense. It was just really, really careless and just, sloppy. So now Ali has been teasing a heel turn on Main Event, which we've talked about. And last week I said maybe Ali joins the Hurt Business, because it feels like he is going to turn heel. Now, did I ever think he was going to join Retribution? No, not at this stage in the game. But now it feels like somebody in creative said, aha, we can have the Hacker and the Retribution storyline cross paths. We could now make it seem like Mustafa Ali was trying to hack into the WWE for 8 months or whatever it was. And
let me just throw this out here. Like, the way that this is being planted from the Hacker storyline, Mustafa Ali coming out there is like if X-Pac was the third man in the NWO. Instead of Hulk Hogan or Macho Man, X-Pac showed up and joined Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. That's literally what this feels like. It is so anticlimactic. There's no hype. There was no buzz. Was there anybody that you know of? Because you even said so yourself, you didn't expect this. But was there anybody that you know of that was like, oh man, you know what Retribution really needs right now? Mustafa Ali. That's what they need.
No.
Nobody said that anywhere.
Ken, terminated by Don Tony. I haven't banned anybody. I blocked someone maybe 5 weeks ago when people were in DTKC withdrawal on Mondays. I have not blocked you. I promise you, when the show is over tonight, before I even upload the show online, I will go into the block accounts and see if there's anything there. I could tell you quite honestly, I definitely did not block you. And trust me, if I did, honestly, Ken, maybe there was a technical thing, but if I block someone, I usually enjoy it.
Blocked.
Yeah, no, if I would have blocked you, I would have probably enjoyed it, and I would have said it on the show, because
taking pictures.
Yeah, I mean, screenshots, I would have tattooed it. But no, I'll check it out. So I honestly don't know what that's about. So my apologies, seriously. So anyway, so look, I'm willing to give it a shot. I think Mustafa Ali next week has to come out and cut a promo. The one thing people need to understand too is tonight, if you think it felt a little bit rushed with Murphy and Seth Rollins beating the crap out of each other, if you feel like the Riot Squad versus Shayna and Nia felt rushed, like we got to get it on this show tonight, those guys, even Braun Strowman, some of those people I just mentioned are going to be drafted to SmackDown. They are going to be, and vice versa. Braun's going to Raw.
Yeah.
Braun suddenly doesn't care about The Fiend anymore.
Right.
So...
Right. Braun and Keith Lee are clearly the new setup. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
The idea of Keith Lee and Braun Strowman tonight having their little match, their little one-on-one, whatever it was, their clash, their exhibition match, as it was put. It's clearly a setup for a feud that we're going to see over the next month or two.
Yeah.
So,
what we'll do a little bit later, unless you guys want to get into it now, I got to give one a follower that I follow on Twitter and vice versa. I don't follow many people, but one person I do follow, and she's really, really, very passionate about women's wrestling and women's rights. She's just very outspoken. But I got this from her page, Vindictive. I know some of you follow her as well. And, they pretty much focused on the women's division more than anything else. So I'm going to throw this picture on the screen. And apparently this is the current women's roster for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And yes, Raw is a 3-hour show, so you expect some more women on that show. But just after tonight with Shayna and Nia versus the Riot Squad and what we saw, especially, I know you want to talk a little bit in a little bit about Mandy Rose. But as you look at this photo, let me make it bigger. Is there anybody that catches your eye right away? Now, we don't know if NXT is going to be drafted to Raw or SmackDown. I personally think so, because shuffling from Raw to SmackDown and back and forth is done diddly squat. And if that was a big deal, Dana Brooke, they would have just waited 2 weeks and just did it as part of the draft. But as you look at this, what faces do you see right away that says they should go to a different brand?
Well, I mean, if you're going to ask me directly, I would say Tamina needs to go back to Raw.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I would get rid of Carmella, throw her back down to NXT if I had a way. Alexa's clearly going to end up on Raw, is what I'm thinking, because Kevin Owens is going to end up on Raw, and I have a feeling that Bray Wyatt might end up on Raw. Like, I just have that feeling. I don't know if that's going to be the way, but who else? Billy Kay, Peyton Royce. Doesn't matter what they're doing.
Yeah,
Becky Lynch. Why is Becky Lynch even on the thing? She's not coming back.
Yeah. Well, they technically is still on the roster, but Ken, just so you know, I did this purposely. When I put this big picture up in the background, I just checked all the blocked accounts on YouTube. You're not blocked. That other account is not blocked. I don't know why it showed blocked, but it's got to be some technical thing with YouTube. But when I look at this roster, the first woman that I see right away that probably needs to go to Raw or SmackDown is Candice LeRae. I talked about it last night with Johnny Gargano. I don't know where Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae go from here, but it seems like they're just stuck in purgatory, and maybe a jump to the main roster is apropos. Other than that, maybe Dakota Kai. There's really nobody. Casey Catanzaro, possibly. Raquel Gonzalez could be the replacement of Sonya Deville.
Oh, you're talking about NXT up. I'm talking about people on the main roster going somewhere else.
Well, no, I agree with you about. Yeah, I agree with you about the Tamina stuff, but as I look at this, I'm just sick and tired of seeing Nikki versus Lacey versus Nikki. Naomi is injured, and then Carmella's going to be back, and, we don't know what's going to happen with Carmella. Alexa Bliss, she doesn't wrestle full-time. She's got the history of concussions. So when I look at it, I'm just little baffled as far as what you do with this women's division. And they got so many talented women as well.
SmackDown, they are going to pull up a bunch of NXT girls. Let's just be honest. The women down on NXT are definitely going to flood in SmackDown. Either that or they're going to chop down the Raw roster again by half, which is not going to be good because you need tag teams in order to keep up with the women's tag team division on Raw. So Raw needs to be heavier with the roster as far as the women go. So you've got to imagine that they're going to graduate a lot of these NXT people. And I know you said Candice LeRae. I can see other people kind of coming up to the main roster, but I don't know if that's best for business. I have no clue what they're going to do. Or do you think it's better if they just shut down the SmackDown women's brand?
Oh, no, they can't do that.
Fall back on Raw?
For Fox and
the women's picture again. Who's active? There's only like 3 women active on the
I know, but I don't talk about demos all that much. But the one demo that I have talked about for the last 2 weeks is the women or the female audience. AEW had more female viewers up until the last couple of weeks, and WWE is actually capitalized on it. So when Triple H on the conference call said that you're going to see a boost to the women's division in NXT, let's go back very quickly and look at this picture. NXT's women's roster already is, very, very stacked. They have the same, they actually have more women than even Raw. But when you dissect it a little bit further, the women actually do get some decent ratings. There's no way they're going to take that away from SmackDown.
But I'm saying if you're only relying on 3 people on one brand, you either need to start filling that brand back up or you need to get rid of it. Because having 3 people on that brand is doing nobody any favors, DT.
Yeah. And
nobody any favor.
As somebody just pointed out, Charlotte's going to be coming back very, very soon also. Yeah. What do you do with Charlotte? Charlotte, you almost feel like she's got to go to SmackDown. Because there's got to be more bodies there, but then you fall into the same trap. Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte. Becky Lynch, obviously.
Well, not if now. They fill it up with the NXT women. If they fill it up with NXT women, it makes perfect sense to have Charlotte back on SmackDown. Yeah. Because that's what she was doing there at the end. People forget already, but Charlotte was going down there on NXT. She was showing up down in NXT. So you need these NXT women to fill the slots on SmackDown, and you can kind of leave Charlotte as the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Talking about some quick feedback from Brandon Jones. He doesn't think there's a leader in the group because from what he's seeing, it's more WWE and NXT that have not been getting the opportunity will join. See, this is the thing, Brandon, just to get back to Retribution for a second. You know, something that you pushed for 2 weeks, not too long ago, I got to give you credit for it because this is probably the biggest mistake WWE has done with this Retribution storyline. You originally said it on our Patreon show, and then we talked about it on one of the shows not too long ago here. You said that they should be teasing a leader, that they should be talking about a higher person. And Retribution, once they started speaking and once they started becoming characters on TV, they never talked about a higher person. So for Mustafa Ali to just come out of nowhere and be revealed as the leader, it doesn't, it doesn't fit the whole scenario. I mean, look, he could cut a promo and talk about how he's been stuck on main event and doesn't get opportunities. And yes, it makes total sense. Anybody who has not been used to the level of all of us want them to could cut the same promo. Dana Brooke could join Retribution if she wasn't drafted brought on Raw 2 weeks ago. She could have been in Retribution and got on the mic and said, I get no opportunity. Naomi could be pissed off and say, look at how I've been treated the last year or two. Anybody. Hell, some people even said maybe Keith Lee should turn for the way things have been going down. Anybody who has not been used to the level that we think that they should.
Let me throw out a fantastical hypothetical. Would it be interesting if Retribution had a female leader and that leader turned out to be Charlotte Flair?
I don't like it. Charlotte would be the female savior of the WWE to overtake Retribution. I don't see that.
What do you think about a female leader?
She'll be a leader of WWE, Team WWE. I personally think the reason why Mustafa Ali was added at this point is for Survivor Series. You have 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. Right now, Retribution before tonight only had 3 male members, established male members that don't have cotton ski masks anymore. So you had to add 1 or 2 bodies. Now, I've been pushing the idea of Kevin Owens turning. Kevin Owens, being the WWE cheerleader, let's get Retribution, this and that. And then when Survivor Series happens, Kevin Owens turns. A la Steve Austin, the Alliance. I'll up it one step further. I started thinking about Hogan. When Hogan joined or became the NWO, what they could do at Survivor Series is, they could take out Slapjack, or he could even be part of it. If they do a 5-on-5, what they should do is they should tease that there is a 5th member that is going to appear. Not say who it is, but just tease it. Just like Hall and Nash, when they were teasing a 3rd member, nobody knew who the 3rd member was. And then you start off Survivor Series. If you do 5-on-5, you started the match 5-on-4. We don't know who the 5th member is. Kevin Owens is already on the other team. And then Kevin Owens does almost what Hogan did at the pay-per-view that time. Bash at the Beach. Was it Bash at the Beach? When he turned and he leg dropped Savage. Kevin Owens could be the 5th member, or the 4th if they don't use Slapjack or whatever. But I still think that they need to add a few more members.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just thought the idea of using a female leader could be at least a little bit more proactive. I don't know. I thought it would be an interesting idea. Charlotte Flair, I just threw the name out there because she is going to be coming back. She's going to have a change of character. And, she is obviously a legend and respected for, what she is and, what her father was. And I just thought that she would be an interesting name. But overall, I think it would be interesting because you don't see stables of men being led by women very often. I mean,
yeah.
Who do you think of? The Stephanie McMahon Helmsley era? Do you think of woman?
Zelina.
I mean, yeah, I guess Zelina. But was Zelina really the leader? Because I think that was kind of the big thing is she really wasn't. She should have been. But I don't think I ever looked at Zelina as the leader of Andrade and them.
Yeah,
so.
it was hard. It was hard to, but she would always say, my men, my men. She wasn't really considered really like the manager. It was more, she was the leader. But no, but I get exactly what you're saying. We'll see. But I think if they're going to do WWE versus Retribution at Survivor Series, they should have a women's match for sure. And if Charlotte is ready to return, maybe Charlotte is the leader of the women's team. And I got news for you. That actually would make sense because I could just picture Bayley, as a heel saying like, I could care less about Team WWE, and she be in her feud with Sasha Banks. So Sasha and Bayley might not even be Team WWE and something like that. So, who are you going to put on the team? Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, Shaw, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not very strong. So,
right.
But, we'll see. And Brandon also says that NXT still needs Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. They're fine.
Yeah.
The problem is there's so many people that they have to leapfrog. Now, I brought this up yesterday, Mish, and my bad also. I didn't realize that you weren't doing a recap yesterday. I would have definitely invited you on.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I talked about Candice LeRae, I did an impromptu in the chat, and it took probably about 2 minutes. And who knows? I don't know if Phil did a Google search. He probably did what I did. It would have done and did a Google search. But on the chat last night, I said, everybody, I'm going to ask you a question, and the answer is a number. And tell me what number it is, even if you're not, you're not exact, but you're in the ballpark. And I'll say it to you right now. Everyone in the chat, shh, don't type anything. How many years do you think Candice LeRae has been wrestling?
8.
Okay. That's actually pretty much the number everybody was saying yesterday. 7, 9, 8. Do you know Candice LeRae is in her 18th year wrestling? She started wrestling at 17.
Yeah, I should have known that. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Nobody really knew. 18 years. So at 35 years old, that's why I gave her more credit yesterday than others because, she gets crapped on social media, and you got the usual comedians out there that will just complain about everything.
Yeah, but not 18 years. Like, I mean, that's a big number and stuff like that. But then you look at the Iconics, and they were wrestling for 14 years.
Right, but the difference is that Candice LeRae blows away Billie Kay. Candice LeRae actually has a pretty storied career. Not legend Hall of Fame status, but I think if you monitor social media the last couple of months, even though those segments in the house were horrible with Gargano and Candice LeRae, but she went into that match last night, I think similar to Zelina Vega, with a chip on her shoulder, but the chip is 18 years old. You know what I mean? So I just wonder, how does Candice LeRae overtake all of those women in NXT that WWE is pushing right now? I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think yesterday might be the pinnacle of Candice LeRae's NXT career, or the top is the furthest she's going to go. And I'm not condoning it, but it feels like it's only downward.
Well, there were interesting commentaries, even with Johnny Gargano. They made it very clear that he's one of the one of the few, or he's like the top of the list as far as the most matches in NXT, that he's been there the longest in NXT. So when they're trying to establish things like that, I don't see Gargano and Candice leaving as a pair. I mean, they might split him up from NXT and leave Johnny down there and just pick up Candice.
Yeah. Speaking of NXT, let's just throw this out there right now. Anybody that checked out last Wednesday's Wednesday Night Dynamite, I talked about the idea that WWE could have in their parking lot, similar to when I took my girl to get tested, that they can have some fans come back, and what they do is they have it set up in the parking lot just like they do with COVID testing, and you have everybody in their cars and they go up to the booth and they're tested for COVID, and then they go on the next line, and then 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, they get their results, and if they're clear, go ahead, go on in and enjoy the event. Well, I'm not taking credit for it because, again, I don't think anybody in WWE hierarchy check out our stuff, but WWE announced that they are going to let some fans in to NXT this Wednesday. They're going to set up in the back of the arena the whole COVID testing. They're going to do on-spot testing. People have to be accompanied by a guardian if they're younger. They're only letting a certain number of people in. They have to wear a mask at all times, but they are going to let some fans in on Wednesday. Does that surprise you?
No, I thought it was actually kind of cool. Watching TakeOver, that was one of the nicest,
and for free. And for free.
Yeah. The positive aspects was seeing the half crowd, half video screen background. I really liked that. I thought
how awesome was that last night?
Yeah, it was nice, man.
It was
nice to have a mix of both worlds because you know that everybody was keeping safe, you know, and then they had the cage up front, which kind of added to the overall feel of the night. But then you had the high, you know, cameras, the high video cam recordings, the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looked good. It looked good. I like that mix.
Yeah. What do you like about them calling it the Capitol Wrestling Center? Little tribute to Vince Sr.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wasn't sure if that was just going to be just for the event, or that's a permanent thing now, huh?
The Performance Center is still a performance center.
Right.
But as far as the wrestling events go, it is the Capitol Wrestling Center. And
I like that.
Yeah, it's almost, I could see them doing a little spin-off of the name, the Capitol Wrestling Center of the World, and this and that. I love it. I love it. Last night, you know, I have said early on that Raw Underground gave me the same vibe as 1995 when Ultimate Fighting was still underground and Current Affair would do specials about this new type of fighting. And, you know, people say that it's, you know, should be banned, you know, and you would go back and you look at that underground and it was very raw, very gritty. And that's what Raw Underground kind of reflects. Even Ken Shamrock has said that. Last night gave me a retro feel of what wrestling was in the 70s. And in the 70s, even in the early 80s, before Hulkamania, you know, WWF would do tapings in front of just a couple of hundred people. So it gave me a real big retro feel to it. They already have cornered the older demographic. I think NXT's biggest demographic is 50 and over. So now what they have to do is they have to start focusing on getting younger fans to tune in also. So, you know, we'll see what the rosters end up, you know, after next Monday, because the draft starts Friday and it carries over to Monday. Random question before we get into a few other things. Psycho Jet Black wants to know who cuts a better promo, Eddie Kingston or Samoa Joe?
I'll go with Samoa Joe.
Okay.
Although that's a good question because Eddie Kingston's had some amazing promos over the years, even going back in the CZW. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Samoa Joe. just by sheer volume too.
Yeah, see, in my opinion, Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston cut two totally different promos. Yes. Eddie Kingston is more, from the street, and I don't mean like ghetto or, homeless. I mean, as far as Bronx and, he's from not too far from my neck of the woods. Samoa Joe is more methodical, and Samoa Joe will basically, in a very calm voice, is going to tell you, I am going to F you up. You know what I mean? Like Eddie Kingston, it's more about reality.
Joe's always had more of an intense promo. I agree with that. Like he's always had a very, I'm going to demolish you kind of promo. I'm going to kill you. That was the big thing. So, but Eddie Kingston, not an intense promo. Loud guy, very boisterous and charismatic, but not intense.
I think Eddie Kingston is extremely intense. I'm almost borderline chills over the years of how great he cuts, because it hits your certain parts of your emotional feelings, because it's real. It's based on reality. Samoa Joe, when he would cut a promo on someone, he basically just tell you he's going to kill you. Eddie Kingston was more about upbringing and where he came from and struggling and scraped. Samoa Joe was never like, back in Samoa or this. I'm not saying he hailed from there, but you don't remember much of him talking about familia and the streets.
It's not on the same level as like a Briscoe's promo. It's not on the same level as that.
Yeah.
Who else was I thinking? Not Necro Butcher. Jeez. Who else was I thinking? That's like even a John Moxley, even the old Dean Ambrose promos. Like that to me is an intense promo. Kingston's never been that guy. Like you're right. He talks about real life and stuff like that, but he doesn't connect with you on a psychological level.
Yeah, Samoa Joe kind of pumps you up, and Eddie Kingston kind of hits your reality strings. So,
right.
But they're both awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So before we cover Raw, we'll get into that because, we don't have too many things we need to talk about tonight. Let's mention a little bit about Jack Gallagher, because I'm very curious to see how people feel about this. Before I do that, I want to give some happy birthday wishes to Donnie Souza, Roger Rubio, Jerry Stewart, Philip Maffey, and Alex Fernash, and also good friend of the family, excellent artist. I know some of you out there have actually bought his work too, but Nick Winstead Art, and I know that's a name a lot of you know, he actually just created a custom Asuka shirt, which you could see on the screen right now. The link to his Big Cartel page is on the screen, as you could see. If you want to pick up one of these limited edition Asuka shirts, it's only limited to 23, and you could get it any size from large to 3X, and he does wonderful artwork. I mean, I always shout out Shaheen and AJ Moore, but Nick Winstead Art does some great work as well. And Nick will check this out on the archives. He's getting much love right now on the chat. So some of you out there may want to pick it up. Look, I think it's very reasonable, $25. That's pretty much what everybody is selling their shirts for. I heard from a little rumbling that Pro Wrestling Tees may be doing a sale on Wednesday. So, but let's talk for a moment about Jack Gallagher.
Yeah,
we know he got fired from WWE over 4 months ago. We already know the accusation of the New Year's Eve party and, the sexual act, that was accused. Well, he's been silent. He has been quiet, not saying a word for 4+ months until this weekend. And he posted a statement. My apologies to our Patreon family because I already discussed this yesterday. But I want to read you a statement. It's very short and to the point. And I'd like your reaction to it because I have an interesting reaction to it. So Jack Gallagher says, and I quote, "Following an allegation made in June 2020 as part of the Speaking Out movement, I was released from my contract with WWE. I didn't release a statement then because it didn't feel the right thing to do at the time. I have now taken the time to process what has happened, and I would like to respond. In 2014, at a New Year's Eve party, I met a young woman, and my behavior towards her was inappropriate. At this party, which was nearly 6 years ago, I had drank quite a large amount of alcohol that night. Unfortunately, I do not recollect what happened. I wish to make it clear that drinking is not an excuse for my behavior that night. I want to express my deepest regrets, and I am genuinely sorry for the upset that I have caused. Following these allegations, I proactively contacted the head of WWE Talent Relations to take responsibility for my actions, as I was aware that the woman who made the allegations and I had both attended the same New Year's Eve party. I was then informed that this would be a breach of the company ethics policy, and this is what led to my release from the contract with WWE. This isolated incident is not reflective of my behavior and attitude towards women. As a man, I know I could do better, and with the support of my wife, I have taken the time over the last few months to understand what I can do. But this is not about me, but about the women that came forward as part of the Speaking Out movement. I will continue to support women and this movement to the best of my ability. Would you like to react to that first, or would you like to hear what I have to say?
You go ahead.
You sure? I'll be very brief with it. I don't know the man personally. I will only address him by his WWE name. I don't want to address him by his personal name. He can't use the WWE name anymore. But I look at this, I want to throw up all over myself. And I'll tell you the reason why.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you the reason why. The last paragraph is what did it for me. I have the paragraph still on the screen. When he writes this isolated incident means it only happened one time. Hasn't happened before, hasn't happened since. So when he says that he knows that he could do better, I didn't want to curse on this show tonight, and I haven't cursed yet, but I am going to curse now. When he just told everybody that this only happened once in his life and he was so drunk he didn't remember it, when he then writes that he knows he could do better, I'm saying to myself, what are you fucking talking about?
Right.
If it hasn't happened since 2014, what have you done worse? Or what haven't you done better? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if it's only one incident and it's not him, and then he says, I know I could do better. Do better at what? Do you notice Joey Ryan, Michael Elgin, this guy and others, how they always write that they know they could do better and they will do better, but they never tell you how they're going to do it. This guy is married already. So what does he mean by do better? I won't get drunk on New Year's Eve, and while some chick is passed out in the bed, I'm going to whack off to her in a condom so there's no semen all over the sheets? Like, what do you mean by do better? If you believe what he said since 2014, he's been a gentleman. So
right.
When he says that, I will continue to support women, you don't need a hashtag to support women. You treat people with respect. End of story. I have, when I was much younger, gone to parties and fooled. I talked about the trip when I went to Italy at 16 years old. I woke up in a strange bed with a giant hickey on my neck, and apparently I fooled around with a 210-pound woman from Texas. And then we did a reunion a couple of years later. And I've told the story on the Patreon shows. 2 years later, when I was in senior year of high school, we did a reunion. And a few people flew in from Texas, from Michigan, from Jersey, and others. They drove in, and everybody got together in a hangout. And this girl went up to me, and the first words out of her mouth. And I'm like, what'd I do? She's like, you don't remember? You threw up all over the bed. You threw the mattress out the window. You did this. You did that. You said you loved me and all this other stuff. I don't know what this woman was talking about. I passed out for a day and a half. I was 16. I didn't need no hashtag to realize that's fucked up. I'm not doing that ever again. This guy's full of shit. This guy's doing this writing this to save his marriage because this is. Let me just say one more thing. This is what I said yesterday. If somebody came out on social media and said Don Toni was in my room and started doing this, and this, or whatever, I would be on social media 5 minutes later saying, what the fuck you talking about? You know, this guy waits 4 months because the time is right now. What does that even mean? You got wasted 6 years ago. You haven't done it since, but you needed 4 months to let it digest. You let it snowball. So now everybody thinks that you're this ridiculous creep and nobody wants to go anywhere near you. That's the time is right. You nip it in the bud before it turns into the snowball. This guy is bringing it up now because things have subsided. All the attention is on Joey Ryan. Mike Elgin, that stuff is quietly calmed down. Other people, it's quietly calmed down. So he had to throw a statement. I don't buy this at all. What do you think about it?
He didn't write this at all. This is completely a statement written for him by his lawyer. I mean, when you go to the first page, it says, "Oh, well, the reason I didn't write to everybody," that's where his writing ended. The reason I didn't write was et cetera, legal jargon, buzzwords, bullshit. That's all this is. This is all in order to save face. Maybe he can get a job back with WWE down the road. Maybe he can get a job with another company down the road. But that's all this is about. Yeah. It's just a way to keep people to stop talking about him in a negative light. You know what I mean? That whole "I can do better" bullshit, that's buzzword all over it. It's just
it is a ridiculous catchphrase that has come out of the speaking out movement. Almost every guy who has been accused of some horrible stuff, almost all of them in some form or fashion has said, "I can do better." But they never tell you how they could do better. Mike Elgin already is, I think, married with a kid.
They don't know how they can do better.
No.
How do you do? All right, let's analyze this directly. Okay, if this is a one-time incident where he was completely inebriated, right? How do you do better? Do you no longer get caught? Do you do better by no longer drinking? Do you do better by not cheating on your wife with random people at New Year's Eve parties? How do you do better? What can that phrase possibly mean?
Anybody know? And please, if you don't know, somebody could maybe check. Could you look up and see how many years Jack Gallagher has been married? I'm curious if he got married after 2014. Because my gut feeling, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. My gut feeling is that he was not married in 2014. And his wife never knew about this.
If he's going to do better, then that means that he's continually doing this at some point, right? Like that's what I'm saying is the phrasing doesn't make sense to the situation. It's just more buzzword bullshit. That's what it is.
I'm looking it up right now. Jack Gallagher got married. Yeah, here we go. Jack Gallagher got married in 2017 to Clara Sinclair. So what happened was this guy wasn't even married at the time. His wife didn't even know about this. And then she finds out on social media that her husband did this really creepy thing 3 years earlier. And for the last 4 months, he's probably been basically trying to convince his wife up and down. I think that statement was done to basically try to calm his wife down than anything else. Because maybe that comment, "I could do better," what the fuck does that mean?
Dude, maybe it was even written by a therapist. You don't think that they're going to couple?
Maybe it was written by his wife.
Yeah, maybe it's written by his wife.
Look, in defense of Jack Gallagher, people do make mistakes. I personally, would never drink to the point ever again where I don't know where I am.
Before you go too far down this point, who was the other guy that was on Speaking Out that literally ripped his apology from, was it Kobe Bryant?
Ripped his apology from Kobe Bryant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the chat know?
No.
Brad Maddox?
No, it wasn't Brad Maddox.
Sorry about that.
No. He was on Twitter and he had a Twitter response to everyone, and he literally took the Kobe Bryant rape apology and pretty much just put his name on. Was it Marty Scurll that did that?
I don't think so. Michael Gonzalez says Simon Gotch. This sounds like it's just guesses from people out there.
Yeah, they're guessing, but no, it's an actual fact, and he got busted on it to the point where people were calling him out like you couldn't even write your own apology. You just took somebody else's.
You know, I know what it was. I remember it now. It was not Marty Scurll. The other one. Marty Scurll. It was Marty Scurll. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, he wrote this long-winded apology.
Yeah.
And then people were like, wait a minute. This seems like the same, denial like Kobe Bryant when he was accused of rape. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Marty Scurll. Scurll. Yeah, I always say Scroll. I don't know why. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about another Marty in a moment, unless you want to just get into it now. Let's just get into it now, get it over with.
Go for it, man.
I know Lance Archer is Murder Hawk. Should we start calling something with the word murder in it for Marty Jannetty? People don't know this. You remember it. In 2000, I think it was 2005, when Marty Jannetty thought he was going to get a contract from... This is the true story, everyone. I still have the clip somewhere. I actually think I even have it in my computer in the other room. Maybe I'll share it next week. But I think it might have been 2005, and some of you may even remember this at the time. He made a return to WWE and had one or two matches and actually did a pretty damn good job. And he thought he was actually going to ink a contract with WWE. And I think the year might have been 05. We were doing Minority Report at the time. And I, from my investigating, realized this guy can't leave the country because he had issues going on legally. And I had posted online, and anybody goes to Wayback Machine, you'll see that I actually had posted it. And I said, look, I'm not trying to go against Marty Jannetty, but when he was pretty much teasing that he's getting a deal with WWE again, and they were going to tour and do this, he couldn't even leave, I don't even think, the state at the time. And he made all these denials, called me a liar and all this other stuff. And I was proven right. And Marty Jannetty ever since, not because he called me a liar, I could care less about that. Like the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Names will never hurt me, but they'll piss me off. But they'll never hurt me. I could care less. But Marty Jannetty, in my opinion, for the last 10 years, maybe even a little longer, it's almost comically sad because you could see the desperation to remain relevant and to look macho because, didn't he post one time like, is it wrong to want to bang your daughter or something like it? It was like he writes some really outrageous stuff. So recently he made these claims that he murdered someone at 13. Fact, the person tried to rape him. He was going to buy weed, I think, at the back of a bowling alley, and guy grabbed him and he killed him. So, you ever watch Forensic Files? They'll open cases. They're called cold cases. 20 years ago, 30 years later, they'll open cases. So now TMZ picks up on this, and they're basically like, what's this all about? This Marty Jannetty, this famous wrestler, he killed someone at 13. So, this ain't like Goodfellas, where predators, sexual predators, they get murdered, that they don't have a birth certificate, they don't have anything under their name, they don't have this, they don't have that, So they went back to see if there was any missing persons report, and investigators called up Marty Jannetty. So they bring him in, and Marty Jannetty's now like, oh, shit. So Marty Jannetty tells them that, oh, no, he was just making it up. It was part of a storyline. I know you never bought it. I never bought it.
No.
But a lot of goofs online bought it. So now Marty Jannetty does an interview with Hannibal. And now Marty Jannetty tells Hannibal that once the Georgia Bureau of Investigation got involved, he was just trying to say it was a storyline. And now he says, and I quote, he says, they don't care about a 13-year-old getting raped. It's like, oh, you killed somebody. What do you think he was going to do after he raped me? He says, I was 13 years old. You know, as a grown-up or any kids listening to this, you say what you think, but when it actually happens, you didn't expect that reaction. You didn't expect that reaction from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Now he is once again saying that he hit the guy with a brick and he hit him too hard and the guy died. And I even think he said that he burned the body. Now, it wasn't dumped in a he burned the body. So now Marty Jannetty is back once again saying that, you know, he lied to the police. He lied to the feds. And that he really did kill a person and he burned the body. This guy is whacked in the fucking head.
He loves the attention. Dude, there's a lot of wrestlers we've seen over the years that are like that. Iron Sheik falls into that category. Virgil falls into that category. Hulk Hogan fell into that category a few times. You know, it's just there's something about some of the older guys that they just, if the spotlight isn't on them, they will do anything in order to create a spotlight for themselves.
It's addicting. It's not just when I talk all the time about people on social media, you know, having to tweet complain about bread. Do you realize at Wonder Bread that the crust is too hard just to get 10 likes? I mean, people need that attention, and it's not just regular folk. It's across the board. And Marty Jannetty, seriously, man, he doesn't want anybody's pity.
I mean, look at all the horrible stuff Tammy said about black people online, you know, during the middle of the riots, because she needs that attention. You know, some of these people need some help, man. They really need help.
Marty needs help.
Is not, yeah,
he's not all there. He's not all there. And, you know, I mean, the funny thing about it is, if he went to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and said, no, it was just a storyline, he'll probably now, because he's too dumb to realize that Georgia Bureau of Investigation will see that he's now claiming that he burned the body, that he lied to them. If they give him another call, you know it's going to be, I'll tell you right now what the next interview is going to be. He's going to say, oh, no, I told the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, I told them, look, it's just a storyline. I'm going to go back on the internet and say that I burned the body and I did this and that. It's all about a wrestling storyline. To what? Who's he going to wrestle? Seriously, what's this storyline? It leads to nothing. It's just, the guy is sick in the head. I mean, look, if he got groped at 13, yeah, I mean, you know, as morbid as it sounds, the guy probably should have had his balls cut off and shoved in his mouth. That's probably what I would have done. I don't have much of an issue of what Marty did, but, you know, now at this stage of the game, all these years later, and his age, always making these outrageous, he never goes online and say, you know, I had a really nice coffee today. You know, everyone out there, you got to try this coffee, this new mountain roast. It's just fabulous. You know, everyone out there, shout out, hey, coffee drinkers, you got to check out the new cafe latte. No, this guy's got to always come out like, you know, is it wrong if I want to like take my daughter and, you know, maybe simulate this and maybe we do role reversal and I'll grope her in the car for weed or something. The guy's just a wacko, man. I feel bad for him. But he's probably having the time of his life. Doesn't he come off like somebody who really is having fun, though?
Well, I mean, it's easy to please a simpleton. So, you know.
You could picture him in some southern area walking into the local pub, and it's almost like the moment from Cheers, but instead of Norm, like everybody will turn on and go, Marty! Marty! You know, have a seat. What's going on, Marty? Oh, you guys. He's probably like the local goof that everybody just wants to hang out and drink with. You know? Or smoke.
Yeah. I think smoke is probably more accurate. Yeah.
I wanted to send thoughts and prayers to this guy, Tracy Smothers. I've talked about his health issues, battling cancer. He is currently in the hospital. it doesn't look good, everybody. It really doesn't. They have done benefit shows for him, and anybody that goes back with me to my hotline days, I have said this at least 30, 40 times on my shows over the years. I did work for XPW when it came to the Northeast. There were a few people behind the scenes that I absolutely loved talking to. Shane Douglas, number one. Obvious, absolutely. But Vic Grimes, really cool-ass motherfucker. Pogo the Clown, fucking hung out, talked hours, just a really, really, really cool guy. But I always brought up Tracy Smothers because that guy, one of the most intelligent people that I ever talked to, came across in wrestling. And I still remember to this day, the first show that he was going to be part of with XPW, everybody went to a diner beforehand, and this guy was talking finance with me, insurance, investments. This guy, so smart, and nobody would probably even have a clue. Just genuinely nice guy, and I still remember him running the ropes with a bunch of young guys who set up the ring for XPW, and he was working out with them before the show started. So any of you out there, and I put up the picture of the FBI because I know a lot of you will remember him from there. Yeah, he had some bad gimmicks like Freddie Joe Floyd and others, but just keep him in your thoughts and prayers for real, because this time it doesn't look good at all. So I had to say that. So that kind of hits me a little bit. I think today's even the anniversary of Brian Pillman passed away.
Oh, is it really? Jeez.
Yeah. It's also the anniversary of Mr. Sacco being born.
Right.
And Steve Austin hitting Vince with the bedpan. Today was a good anniversary for wrestling. Not all good, but still. Another bad thing today, you might not even be aware of it because the news broke late tonight. I know some of you are going to really be pissed at this. Mish, did you hear about this? You hear about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did see that.
Season 4 is done, canceled. COVID, even if they tried to do it in the future, it wouldn't come out till 2022. Netflix said, that's it. So Glow is officially canceled. Not postponed, canceled.
Right.
They taped one episode in January. That was it. Another victim to COVID.
Doesn't surprise me. The series had a limited shelf life left anyways. Even if they did go ahead with season 4, I would have already thought that season 4 was going to be the last season unless they started going really down the path of the individual girls. I wish they would have done a wrap-up episode for everybody. That would have been kind of nice, tie up some loose ends, but I understand it. It is what it is, and it's not going to be the last. So,
yeah. It's a shame. When it first came out, the first season, it had to grow on me because I'm old enough to remember the original Glow. And, it obviously was very loosely based on that. But, I had to really get used to it. But once I got used to it, I thought it was pretty damn good. I really do. Yeah. And some of the characters who were in there were, pun intended, awesome. So, I just figured, John Morrison was in Glow. Carlito was in Glow. So, just figured I'd mention that to everybody. So, by the way, as well, just so everybody knows, last week you and I were complaining about Aleister Black's new theme and just really questioning why they changed. It was probably my favorite theme on WWE right now. And the one thing that we didn't know last week is we wondered if Sifo made that song. Now, again, nothing against those who were in the chat last week, but, as a lot of you are starting to realize, people guess. They actually don't check. And last week when you and I were thinking, maybe this is another Sifo song, CFO, And WWE is branching away from any of their music. And everybody in the chat's like, no, that's not a CFO song. Yeah, it was. That Aleister Black song was a song made by CFO. So that's the reason why they changed it now. There's word going around now that Aleister Black, he was part of the choosing process of the new music, but I'm not feeling that new music at all. Not feeling it at all. Thought it's just not very good. So, but anyway, want to talk a little bit about Raw?
Sure.
All right. Let's see what we got over here. All right. Randy Orton opens up Raw. I don't know what you thought about that promo, and I give a lot of love and praise to Randy Orton for various reasons. But to me, it was almost like 10 minutes of waste, because you and I said a week ago they were going to brawl at Hell in a Cell. Right. It felt like all Randy Orton did was give us a complete recap of what happened last week. You know, I mean, all they had to do is just show it.
Just show the recap. Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's like, and I turned off the lights, and here is Big Show trying to grab the chair, and here is Shawn Michaels grabbing the table, and here is Ric Flair and begging and grabbing my leg, and here's this person. I don't know who it was, but it felt good, you know, going up my leg. This guy, play-by-play of every goddamn fart from last week. And, you know, I did like Drew McIntyre showing up, and they had a little brawl, which is a little bit different than what they normally do, like right after the challenge. But I don't know, man. To me, that was just like 10 minutes of waste, 15 minutes of waste.
Still better than a Seth Rollins promo.
Yeah. Give me an apology. Look, I'm the Messiah. You're the disciple.
You're totally right. The idea of Randy just recapping everything instead of them just making the package and just showing everything again. Honestly, I kind of thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because it was so redundant that it was almost funny. It was almost like they were making fun of us for watching that promo. I don't know. Randy Orton he does what he does whenever he feels like doing it. And that promo was a perfect example of Randy phoning it the hell in. That entire promo was so phoned in. The only thing he didn't do was a call ATT commercial afterwards. It was just,
I mean,
was bad.
He recapped everything.
Yeah,
you know, he just every little part of the ambulance match to what happened last week, like everything. And I'm like, wouldn't it have been cooler to just show the footage? I mean, wouldn't it look cooler?
Those neat goggles again. Those were some neat goggles that he wore last week.
Yeah, man, I'm getting gas just thinking about it. Oh, thank you. But I don't know if anybody heard that. By the way, on Patreon last night, I brought my African Gray in here to introduce him to everybody, and he took a massive dump on my shirt live on the show. I don't remember what moment it is. It's towards the end of the show, but if you look, you'll see him like facing the other way, and then big plop of shit on my shirt. So, Jay Carlos, shout out to you, my brother. Jay Carlos, well, wait. Oh, you know what? Let me before we say Jay Carlos, Brandon, when we were talking about Jack Gallagher before, Brandon says his wife probably told him to say that and tweet that, and he just listens to his wife. I tell you, man, if his wife obviously didn't know about that party, unless she was there. I mean, but, you know, this guy for the last 4 months has probably been making damage control to his wife. And honestly, at this stage in the game, his wrestling career is seriously damaged by it. I will give Jack Gallagher credit for one thing. At least he's not taking his accuser to court. Because Joey Ryan taking all those people to court as an attempt to silence them, Jack Gallagher doesn't remember that night, according to him. So if he doesn't remember that night, why does he think it's true? So if he feels in his heart and soul, no matter how much I drank or smoked, I would never do what this woman accused me of doing. If there was anybody that would maybe take someone to court. Maybe Jack Gallagher does, because if he truly believes in his heart, you can give me 50, absolute cranberries. I'm not doing that to someone. He could have possibly done that. But, yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. It's, right now, his wife is probably his world. And that world got turned upside down because not only is he out of a job, but this woman's married to him. And just so people know, I don't want anybody, because some people don't know Mish. Let me just tell them. When the screen goes black, that's because, Mish is enjoying a little bit of vape. Is that the right way to say it? Just enjoy a little smoke, I never knew.
Demonetization-free things.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm telling you, man, you got to put the echo chamber on because it sounds like a voice coming from God. I swear to God, you got that deep, powerful voice.
I'll come up with a picture from now on and just put it in front.
No, it's okay. It's all right. But Jay Carlos, he saw a tweet that WWE posted that says he runs Retribution. Does that make him the leader? Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, even though the commentator said that Mustafa Ali is the leader of Retribution, it's a hard sell. And it's not because Ali is short. It's not because he's under 205. It's not because he is Indian or whatever. I don't care what his nationality is. I always get it wrong because I don't care. It's just because when they focused on the Performance Center and you look at the overall storyline, he doesn't fit that equation. If they recruited him and he felt that was a better place to go because he has been mistreated, that's fine. But, let me say it like this. And I just had a brainstorm. God damn it, Don Tony, sometimes you surprise yourself. The vibe? No, this is actually worth it. The vibe that I'm getting right now with Mustafa Ali being the leader of Retribution? God damn it, I'm good. The same feeling I got when Bully Ray was announced as the leader of Aces and 0.8s. They had to do 5 or 6 vignettes or clips the next week to try to convince us why it made sense for Bully Ray to be the leader of Aces and 0.8s. If you followed that storyline, it made no sense. And they tried so hard, and give him credit for trying. But Mustafa Ali coming across as the leader of Retribution right now, it almost makes as little sense as Bully Ray joining the Aces and 0.8s. But again,
can I give a quick shout out on this one? Phil Godoy in the chat, he says a former police officer is now a leader of an anarchist group. Sounds cool to me.
That's, you know what?
That's good.
That's good. Now, the big question is how much of Mustafa Ali, his real personal life, gets brought into the storyline? Because what's going to happen. He's going to explain himself, and he's going to talk about being held back in WWE. And again, I have no problem with that, but that's a promo that 20, 30, 40 other people on the roster could do. What he's got to do next week or the week after, because I don't know if they're going to do it next week because of the draft, but what Mustafa Ali's got to do, and obviously, look, this storyline, this is WWE's responsibility. What WWE needs to do is they need Mustafa Ali's explanation to feel unique. I'm not saying to go the race card route. I'm not saying because of, who he is, but they got to make his explanation feel unique. If it just feels like you could put 40 other people in front of that mic and say the same thing, then it's not going to work all that well. They may even need to do a swerve that maybe come Survivor Series, Mustafa Ali's kicked out of Retribution, or maybe Mustafa Ali was a mole. Maybe Mustafa Ali is a mole to try to get into Retribution to destroy Retribution. Just thinking outside the box.
No, it's an idea, but I mean, are we putting him in there as a mole now? I guess that could be something down the road, but
It wouldn't make sense if he starts beating down. Yeah, if he starts beating down Ricochet and Apollo Crews and just sits there enjoying it, if it ends up they do a mole storyline, and I'm just talking storyline right now. If I was Apollo Crews or Ricochet, and let's say Survivor Series or later on, Mustafa Ali ends up turning on Retribution, and he was just a mole, and he did that like Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family. Remember Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family? If Apollo Crews and Ricochet get beat down big time by Retribution between now and Survivor Series, and then Mustafa Ali reveals he was Team WWE all along. If I was Ricochet and Cedric, I'd punch him right in the mouth. Like, we got beat up, and you don't want them to say like, oh, we got beat up for the higher cause. The fuck out of here.
Well, you know what the weird thing is too is Cruz and Ricochet are constantly fighting the Hurt Locker, right? And how many times has the Retribution come out and beaten down the Hurt Locker? The Hurt Squad, the Hurt guys.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised as far as social media goes. Are you a little surprised that nobody's tried to call it the race card?
Oh, well,
Aren't you surprised that in today's very, very sensitive climate that we live in, that a wrestling angle involving white dudes wearing black masks beating down black guys has not turned into some kind of racial insensitivity response?
And you could look at the opposite, that the Hurt Club is just black people. Yeah, that's why I even said last week, I think eventually somebody will join Retribution who's not black.
Right.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I'm surprised because so many people wanted to attach Retribution to Antifa.
Yeah, well, Benjamin brings up a good point. Dio Madden is not black. I mean, he's not white. And neither is Mercedes Martinez, technically. She's
or
Latino.
Mia Yim. Yeah, no, I get it. Mia Yim is neither, clearly. But I don't know. I'm just very surprised. With the whole reason that they changed the Retribution gimmick to the fact that they're wearing Slipknot uniforms now, Slipknot masks and stuff, is because they didn't want them to be attached to the political stimuli, from the actual what they were wearing. I'm just saying, aren't you surprised that with as sensitive as people are on social media, especially with wrestling, that hasn't come out?
Absolutely.
I am. I think it's a good thing that it hasn't come out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they should be put on anybody's list. I'm just saying I'm very surprised now. It's 2 months later.
Well, what's going to happen when we get further where you don't have the other little goofs around the ring, the other 35 members of Retribution with the ski mask. When those disappear, you will see Retribution on SmackDown again because they won't look like Antifa anymore.
Right.
So when they get beyond that point where there's no remnants, where it looks like Antifa, they will appear on SmackDown again. You will definitely see that. And you know what? I enjoy the fact that we were the ones that picked up on that the night that Fox gave them the TV 14 rating. And no one, because we hit it, no one even turned it into a news story. You would think these goofs that try to come up with exclusive news stories, they could have figured that out and then made an exclusive. We learned from our sources that the reason why Fox gave them a TV 14 is they don't want Antifa on their TV set. And as a result, Retribution is not welcome on SmackDown anymore. Otherwise, Fox will give them a TV 14, and that's a problem for WWE because of the advertisers and family and this and that. And blah, 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 blah. I mean, that was probably one of the easiest news stories that were fabricated news stories. We didn't report news. We analyzed and guessed and figured, okay, this is the reason why. And we ended up being right. So, we were talking before. Oh, you're talking about like changing their look, getting away from the Antifa look. I got to ask you, just to mention it because I think she deserves a little mention. When we saw those 2 weeks of vignettes in NXT of the person on the motorcycle driving 150 miles an hour, and they revealed yesterday for it to be Ember Moon.
Yes.
What do you think about Ember Moon being revealed as that person?
Dude, I am so happy she's getting away from the werewolf gimmick.
Thank you.
I'm totally done with the werewolf. I'm okay with Mad Max Ember Moon, Mad Max Extra. I'm okay. That's fine by me. Ember Moon, Forbidden Road. I'm okay with that. But as long as she's not a werewolf anymore, I'm okay. That's fine. Yeah.
What about Toni Storm?
Oh, it's Toni time.
Oh, man.
Is that what part of the show we're in? It's Toni time?
Yeah, we were going to change the name of our show and call it Toni Talking About Toni, or Toni.
No.
Could we call her Don Toni Storm? I mean,
Sure.
Look, I mean, it's not like we didn't know what she looked like before. It's not like we didn't know, how great she wrestled before. It's just that she hasn't been on television enough in our neck of the woods, as far as especially the U.S., as far as being a household name. But, I mean, you look at this, I mean, seriously. And I tell you, I think people underestimate how big of a deal even the visual looked yesterday. I saw this yesterday. To me, it looked like The Wizard of Oz. You remember when The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy and the robot and the others, they went into that room and then this giant head comes up. What are you doing here? Her head is so goddamn big on the screen. It's overpowering. And since she's got such a beautiful look to her, like people look at the lights. The lights look like they're coming out of her eyes. That was whoever came up with that idea of making that visual of Io Shirai looking kind of small and Toni Storm overpowering the screen. I thought that was brilliant. I'm even willing to cut my head off on this screen and you could talk about it. See?
Can I talk about her giant head?
Yeah.
Like, can we be honest? That pretty much killed the rest of that match, that angle. It's Toni time. Is anybody really excited for Toni time right now? Like,
look,
seriously.
That's me.
And someone else brought it up earlier. Ember Moon was supposed to be a big surprise tonight. Ember Moon no longer being a werewolf is supposed to be the surprise of the night. Ember Moon comes out. She gives the smile and nod. She shows off her Mad Max makeup and takes off the helmet and stuff like that. But even still, we have to have Toni Storm's giant ass head. And that's the thing too, is you think it's actually a giant head. It's not. That's actually her head in real size, guys.
No. What I'm going to do, just because I feel like being a little bit goofy, I will be Toni Storm from that night. Here we go. I got to make a little bit bigger. Hey, we're just fucking around, everybody. It's, it's getting a little bit late over here. Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah. Io Shirai. No, I got to take the hat off. Look, my head is a little too big. Io Shirai, I'm going to kick your ass. Look, everybody. I'm Toni Storm. I even have a hat on. Oh, man. Actually, this is even better. Look.
Oh, I'll do it.
Io Shirai.
Oh, okay.
Io Shirai at the next NXT pay-per-view. I'm going to wear my hat that says hat, and I'm going to kick your ass. I loved it, man. I thought she was so overpowering. Fabulous.
Did you really?
Yeah, I tell you, I thought it was fabulous.
I'm all set with her. I don't know. She's kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh, really?
Some of her actions on social media and stuff like that. I understand what she went through. Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling that she might be a problem down the road.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of women, when you think about, I brought this up Friday. She's been all over social media, so we knew what she looked like already now.
Sure
I mean,
has.
you know, the only thing different is they're calling her Untouchable. You will hear that. Do a drinking game with Untouchable. You'll be whacked. You'll be more whacked than Jack Gallagher was in 2014. What do you think of this change, this tweaking of Carmella?
You mean her angry outbursts at people saying that she's not pretty?
I ignore those people.
Seriously. She's been on social media left and right yelling at people because they don't find her attractive. Or what is it? The only thing that people can say about her is if they find her pretty or not. Like, come on. There's the reason that people don't like Carmella in the ring has nothing to do with how attractive or unattractive she is. There is a lot more of her personality and there's a lot less of her talent that would be reasons for people to not like her. Oh no! Oh geez.
I don't know. I'm now. People are like, "Come on, all right, DT. Now you're acting like a little child over here." Let me just see how it would look. All right, on SmackDown. You know, to all my haters out there, that's what I have to say about that. I'm untouchable, everybody. Look, I'm untouchable. I even have a hat that says hat. You know what? I'm willing to give it a chance. Seriously, I'm definitely willing to give it a chance.
Why? She's one of those people that need to go, DT. Aren't we sick of Carmella? Is there anybody still left? And I don't mean people that are like, oh, Queen, yes, Queen. I mean, is there any actual wrestling fans left going, oh, yeah, Carmella's still got a bunch in the tank? Nobody. I don't see that. I don't see this outcry of support for Carmella to get back in the ring and win a WWE Women's Championship. I don't see it. And if there are people out there like that, I don't trust their opinions.
You think they need to change her music from that fabulous stuff?
I think
Hopefully they don't do like a reprise of it and they go UNTOUCHABLE is what?
Right.
No,
you were right when you said
UNTOUCHAB.
No, just UNT. That's all. That's all you need to do. Just
wait, wasn't that Queen Latifah? Oh no, that was UNITY. UNITY. So I know Queen Latifah, everybody. UNITY. UNITY. We need unity, everybody. We really do. We need unity.
We need UNT.
You know, look,
UNT.
she's doing a conceited storyline. She's untouchable. Her storyline is that her shit doesn't stink and she's better than everybody. Of course she's going to get haters on social media.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I get that. That's the same storyline she's been working as a babyface in the Hill for the last 3 years. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
When she was the good guy and the bad guy, she had the same damn stereotype. She had the same damn gimmick. Now she's rechanged her gimmick into the same gimmick she's been for the last few years. She doesn't improve. She only gets worse. There's no talent on that girl. The fact that they let that woman go over Asuka and Charlotte is a crime against wrestling. She is garbage. Hot, awful garbage. There is no redeeming quality. The last time I enjoyed seeing Carmella on my screen was when she was still working with Enzo and Cass. That was the last time. She is not good. And the fact that they're still giving her chances, man, oh man, they love Corey Graves at WWE. That's all I got to say.
I'm willing to give it a chance. Look, people have surprised me over the years that I never thought would amount to anything and actually would turn it around. So I'm willing to give it a chance. Let's see what it equates to on TV. If it ends up sucking, then I will join you in in what you said. Right now,
people are throwing there like Lana's the same thing, dude. Lana at least was a fantastic valet and manager. Mella was nowhere near the level of manager or valet that Lana was. Lana was definitely way up higher on the list. I will agree with those people when they say that Lana and Carmella have the same category of wrestling ability. Sure, that's a given. That's fine. I can live with that. But to sit there and say that Lana has less value than Carmella? No fucking way. No way. No way.
Just so people know, since Miro debuted in AEW, I wrote this down tonight, she has had 4 matches. She's been pinned by Ruby Riott in a minute. She's been submitted by Shayna Baszler in a minute. She lost and was pinned by Mandy Rose in a tag match. She was pinned by Mandy Rose tonight in a tag match. And she's been put through a bunch of tables. Every tag match, she's the one eating the pin. She's been put through more tables. I mean, then again, maybe she likes getting put through tables. Maybe it feels good, but I think it's safe to say now that WWE is treating her like shit because Miro's in AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't see. You know what the weird thing about it is, and we're supporters of Lana for people, by the way.
Oh yeah, I love Lana, dude. I think she's amazing. I really do. I think her best work is as a ballet manager. Yeah, I think she's a better mouthpiece than she is a wrestler.
Yeah, but you want to know something? Even though they're treating Lana like shit, one thing I guess would be a consolation is that WWE's used her on like 5 or 6 straight weeks. So she's getting TV time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a shame that they decided to do this. And especially they have it with Natty. Because what does this do with Natty? Natty should have done what Mercedes Martinez did when she joined the Robert Stone brand. I keep freaking losing. Why am I joining with this person? In storyline, but Lana, the plus is she's on TV every week now. The negative is she's the one getting destroyed. And it happened again tonight. We thought for a change, Natty was going to go through the table. And then Lana interrupts it, and then she gets put through the table again.
I'm okay with it. You know what? She's working. She's out there. She does whatever they tell her to do. She supposedly doesn't have an attitude about nothing. What can you say about it? If WWE has a bug up their butt because of what her husband is doing, that's on WWE. As long as she's out there performing and doing what she's told to do, then there's no problems. Yeah. Personally, like I said before, I'd rather her be a manager for somebody. Dear God, there's enough people on the roster that could really use her ability. But, I digress. It is what it is, and, it's her job.
Yeah, look, at this point, Lana may have realized, look, as far as being a great technical wrestler or great in the ring, doesn't seem like she's putting it together. So if the consolation is that she's still on TV every week, and she unfortunately is the one, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's corny that WWE has to give the impression that they're taking it out on Lana because Miro showed up in AEW and said a couple of nasty words about WWE. But, hey, she's still on the roster. She's on there every week. It is what it is,
Right.
Before she got put through the table, we had a 6-woman tag match. Asuka, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke beating Lana, Natty, and Zelina Vega. You told me before we started tonight that you had some issue with Mandy Rose.
No, it wasn't Mandy. I was really upset by Liv.
Oh, Liv. Okay. All right. So then hold that thought. We'll get to that match in a moment. Actually, we can talk about that now. We had the tag title match that should have happened 2 weeks ago. It was the Riot Squad losing to Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. I will say one thing about that match. I tried to find out tonight. Couldn't get any answer. I'm wondering if Ruby Riott is like Alexa Bliss and she's double jointed. Because when Shayna Baszler did that to Ruby Riott with the arm, oh my God, I had flashbacks of Glow. Who was the one in Glow that broke her arm on TV? And I remember seeing that, and I can't. Who was it?
Alison Brie.
No, I'm talking about Glow from like 25 years ago. There was someone else. What? It wasn't Becky the Farmer's daughter. Was it? No, not Hollywood and Vine. Somebody in the chat will remember. She broke her arm on TV, and they showed it, and I was like, I can't watch that. Yeah, someone will probably Google it and get it. So
sure.
Susie Spirit, thank you. You know what? Shep, credit for Shep. Susie Spirit. If any of you out there have never seen it, go on YouTube, type in Susie Spirit arm. That's all you have to do. Watch it. I think Ruby Riott might be double jointed. And if she is, I'm surprised they waited this long to do it.
And my problem with that match was you look at the comparative styles of selling between Ruby Riott and Liv, and it is night and day. Ruby Riott was selling. She was screaming. She was fucking screaming. It was great. Shayna Baszler was kicking the hell out of her, and she did the right thing and made Shayna look like a mass murderer. I love Ruby Riott. I think she's just way more talented than WWE is recognizing at this point. But then you have Liv, who's taking shots right to the stomach and chest by Shayna, and she doesn't know how to sell. She has no concept of selling. And why would she? I'm really under this theory that the reason why a lot of these girls don't understand the psychology, don't understand how to sell pain, is because they have no concept of pain. I mean, when the most painful thing in their life can be solved by taking a couple of aspirin at night, what the hell do they know? I don't think Liv understands psychology, not because she doesn't understand what it means to her craft, but because how can you sell pain if you've never felt it? Ruby Riott was selling like nobody's business. It was amazing. You could tell Ruby Riott knows when and how to scream and how to react to the situation to make the match even more immersive. Liv has no concept of this. She takes 2 shots from Shayna and then pops back up like nothing, like Shayna isn't a complete badass that she is. You know, it's goofy. It throws me out of the moment. I just can't stand Liv. Get rid of her. Get somebody else to fill that slot, or teach Liv something more about psychology. One or the other.
Are you surprised at this stage of her career? Because the Riot Squad has been around for several years. And, you know, with going up and down the road with Ruby Riott, which she is more of a, you know, I think people look at her as more of a veteran. But even with the other women on the roster, I mean, I'm a little surprised at this stage of the game. You know, Ruby Riott, like you said, she's selling, she's screaming. I got on this whole rant yesterday as far as Velveteen Dream. That's what I loved more than anything about TakeOver.
Oh, that was really good. My God, Kushida and VD. They were great out there. Look, I'm not a big fan of VD lately, but I got to admit that match was amazing. Even when it came down to Kushida just biting his fingers. I'm like, when was the last time you saw a baby face biting a dude's fingers just to make a submission hold hurt more? It was great. It was really over the top.
I have to apologize to everybody who checked out the recap show yesterday because, you know, yes, Kushida was dressed as Marty, and he even did the hoverboard move from the top rope. I understand Velveteen Dream was dressed like Doc Brown. What I was saying yesterday is that if you look at Velveteen Dream's hair, it was more of Don King than anything else. Just look, I understand, but if you look at Doc from Back to the Future, look at Don King, and then look at Velveteen Dream. Velveteen Dream had Don King's hair to a T. But that's why I was bringing up Don King yesterday. But I loved, look, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies of all time. It actually gets me a little depressed that that movie came out 35 years ago. That's sick. That's sick. I remember going to the movie theater with my friend Rob in Long Island and getting into the movie theater and watching it twice. We loved it so much. And you realize it's 5 years ago. You know, so it kind of like gets you a little depressed, you know, that how many years have gone by, but, you know, it's a nice nostalgic thing. So, yeah, no, I will acknowledge the Back to the Future reference on both sides. My only complaint is when you're having a bitter fight that led up to this match, I don't think both sides should be cosplaying. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm getting in the ring in storyline, someone that I want to beat their ass, and I know my opponent is cosplaying Back to the Future, why would I do it too? You know what I mean?
I thought he was doing the George Washington Duke from Rocky 5. Touch me and I'll sue.
Yeah.
Touch me and I'll sue.
Touch me. and I'll sue. So, I love that character. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't know why, man. I get this weird vibe that either the Iconics are going to reform again, or Billie Kay is going to be released. She may not be released immediately, but they're either going to reform or she's gone. And at the same time, what I was left with tonight is that Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, even though they reformed the Riot Squad, I'm starting to think that WWE may have had second thoughts. And I think this match was rushed tonight because the draft is coming up. Something tells me there's a possibility. I could be wrong, but the Riot Squad might be splitting up because of the draft.
Are you trying to hint towards, oh God, please don't say it, that Liv gets removed from Ruby Riott and they plug in who? Billie Kay? Peyton Royce?
No. Peyton Royce is going to be a single star, but I have a feeling that WWE...
Because Peyton Royce and Ruby Riott is going to break my heart, because I don't know what I would do at that point. Because I really, really, really don't like one of them, and I really, really like the other.
Yeah. Look, I'm willing to give Peyton Royce a shot, but they're obviously waiting until after the draft to do something about it. I think Peyton Royce might be better on SmackDown. You look at the caliber of talent on SmackDown, Peyton Royce might have some much better matches and given more time to compete on SmackDown. So, we'll know later this week, but, we'll see. So let's see what else. So throughout the night, the teasing was that MVP was offering Mustafa Ali, Apollo Crews, and Ricochet one night only, give them a shot in the Hurt Business. And they were downplaying, and even at one point they kind of teased where, like Mustafa Ali and Apollo Crews left, and MVP left, and then you're left with just Ricochet over there, and he's looking, and he's got that look on his face like, maybe I should take him up on that offer. It is what it is. But, later on in the night, you had Lashley and Cedric Alexander, not Cedric Alexander, him and Shelton Benjamin, Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, they take on Apollo Crews and Ricochet, and I thought it was a decent match, but again, this 50-50 booking crap is really starting to suck, because it's like they're trading wins every week. Apollo Crews loses on a pay-per-view, then he wins last week, and then he loses this week. Mustafa Ali at ringside, he's not involved in the match, but, I thought something might be up for only one reason. I didn't think Retribution, I'm not going to lie. But
sure,
it didn't make sense why they would book Mustafa Ali versus MVP later on in the night when Mustafa Ali is at ringside, as is MVP, and their guys are also fighting. Why not just do the six-man rematch? So the fact that they set up a one-on-one later on and have two separate matches, I'm like, oh, fuck. But that's what we had to look for a little bit later. I know we're going a little bit back and forth, but only because the conversations are leading to these directions. We already talked about Seth Rollins and Murphy. Seth Rollins comes to the ring early in the night, wants Murphy to apologize. Murphy will not apologize. Seth Rollins threatening Murphy, getting in his face, getting a little bit physical, and Murphy can't take it anymore. Murphy starts beating the crap out of Seth Rollins. He's telling Seth Rollins to apologize. Seth kind of apologizes, and this allows Murphy put his guard down. Seth gets the upper hand, starts beating the crap out of Murphy. And then we get all this Aaliyah crap again. First, Aaliyah is backstage, and Murphy bumps into her, and I started thinking, I wonder if the kiss happens tonight. I think it's a little too soon. Then Aaliyah is basically showing sympathy for Buddy Murphy, or Murphy, we can't call him Buddy, outside the ring area, and that leads to the potted plant, and Ray and Dominic to come out to ringside. We even had a match where Dominic Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo, they lost to Seth Rollins and Murphy. And Seth, during that match, I don't need you. Don't tag in. I don't need you. Then what the fuck you team up with him in the first place in the match? But Rollins and Murphy get the win. But other than what we said before, anything you want to add as far as all this Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Murphy stuff tonight?
Dude, what can I possibly add to it? I mean, it's a car crash. It's a train wreck. It is a dumpster fire. I loved, and I stated this last week, and I even stated it on a private show. The Dominic storyline to where it went was great. Even the way that they finished it, it felt complete. It felt like Dominic could now go on to other things. Rey Mysterio could go on to other things. It was ready to go. We were good. And then this whole Buddy Murphy-Aaliyah storyline has been plugged in, and it is done. It has undone all the goodwill that Seth and Ray and Dominic and Murphy brought together from their storyline. It's literally undone everything. Every single positive aspect of father and son storyline is literally being undone by father, brother, sister, enemy, disciple, Messiah storyline. Yeah, potted plant. It's like, I don't know, one step forward, two steps backwards. At this point, I mean, is there really anybody that's excited to see BM, bowel movement, and Aaliyah make out? I don't know, dude.
You know that kiss is going to be like repeated 1,000,000 times. That it's coming. I mean, we could take credit for it. I'll take credit for the show. We called that 2 weeks ago, and everybody's like, yeah, 3 weeks ago, and everybody's like, you're out of your mind. Doesn't make sense. They would never do that. And then the worst part, I know you and I never talked about it, but I mentioned it on Friday. Alexa Bliss getting heat online because she got him. Now, look, she should have stood out of it. But, the thing, and this is what I said Friday. Okay, she's 19, Aaliyah. Murphy is 32. Right. My honest take on that is one thing and one thing only. If it was a 19-year-old guy and a 32-year-old woman, if it was a 19-year-old guy and a Trish Stratus, or the 32-year-old Trish Stratus, or 32-year-old someone else, everybody out there would be in envy of the 19-year-old guy. So just because it's a 19-year-old girl, it's creepy, I think. And people that were doing that online, I just thought was ridiculous, because it was if the ages were flipped, nobody for the most part would be complaining at all. Everybody would be patting that 19-year-old on the back. The guy, that's awesome. It's a fantasy for a 19-year-old guy. It's a fantasy, and don't tell me back in the Attitude Era when some of you guys out there, even a couple of years later. You were 19 years old and Mickey James was 32, and you see her coming out with that really short skirt. You mean to tell me you didn't fantasize? And if you had the opportunity, you mean to tell me that your friends are going to say, oh, that's creepy? Come on. I don't buy it. I don't believe in that.
There's a lot of people. Okay. All right. So I'll clear this up. The ages are legal, but the insinuation that comes from those ages was a lot of people that were bringing up the idea of grooming. Not sure if you know what grooming is.
Oh, sure. They accused Velveteen Dream of doing that.
Right. So it was that idea. And then the fact that Alexa Bliss brought it up. And on the other side, Murphy's just sitting there like, just shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Don't say nothing. And because he's now getting labeled with this when he has nothing to do with any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't look good all the way around. And when Alexa Bliss was challenged, when her opinion on it, which is fair, I have nothing against her opinion on it, but when her opinion on it was challenged, instead of responding to those challenges, she shut down and played the victim. She handled that entire situation so poorly that she should have just stayed the hell out of it from the get-go.
I'm supportive of Alexa Bliss, but she probably should have stood out of that one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm fine with your opinion, and Alexa Bliss absolutely is allowed to have her own opinion. But if somebody challenges your opinion on it, respond to them. Don't go, oh my God, how could he say that to me? She played the victim. And I was like, that was not a situation that called for Alexa Bliss to be the victim.
Yeah.
It called for her to stand up for what she believed in.
Yeah.
And she got punked.
Yeah. By the way, for everybody who's live, if you're enjoying the show, we would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. If you aren't liking the show, give it a thumbs down. Just be interactive because it actually helps us get a little bit more exposure. Because we want to blow this son of a bitch up. By 2021, we want this blown up. So if you could just take a moment and vote, early voting. We're not done with the show yet, but you can early vote. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. And don't forget, next Sunday, Q&A right here on YouTube. I don't know if it's 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., but the thread is up there. If you haven't checked it out already, you can post a question and ask away, and I will answer them all next Sunday. So very quickly, because we were talking about Peyton Royce a few moments ago, Ethan Kaufman. What happened to Peyton's push seemed like they were setting her up with Asuka. You know what? I said a few moments ago that I think Peyton Royce would be better suited on SmackDown because you look at the women on SmackDown. Again, nothing against the Raw brand, but the talent, the in-ring repertoire of the women on SmackDown seems to be a higher grade. But I agree with you. If you do that, then she has no opportunity against Asuka. And it did feel like they teased a little bit of Asuka and Peyton Royce a couple of weeks ago, and then nothing. And it almost felt like at that time, all right, let's wait for the draft. Then we'll go full bore. So the more I think about it, maybe Peyton Royce should stay on Raw because you don't want all of your top caliber talented women. And let's also bring this up too. They did another, EST clip today, vignette with Bianca Belair. This time she's playing trivia with 3 of her friends and she's answering every question right. Bianca Belair, is going to get a push. Mercedes Martinez and Mia Yim are definitely going to get pushed. And as of right now, they are Raw stars. So maybe that makes Peyton Royce a little more expendable to SmackDown. But I think maybe Peyton Royce, maybe she should stay on Raw and go up against Asuka. Would you rather see Peyton Royce versus Asuka or trade SmackDown? Because if she goes to SmackDown, she's not getting anywhere near Bayley or Sasha at this time.
You know what? I understand. I would actually rather her go to SmackDown because it seems like the people or the women's division over on SmackDown, I don't have as much investment on the SmackDown women's brand as I do the Raw brand. So, yeah, I mean, the further she is away from actual talented wrestlers, the better.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry. I don't like Peyton Royce or Billie Kay. It's not because, like they did anything personal, but it's just I think that they're part of the problem. They fall into the live category. They fall into the category of the Carmellas. They fall into these are not the women athletes that go out there and entertain. These are not the women who have honed their crafts to a science. These are the women that go out there and just, they pray for the Divas belt to return.
As much as I hated the Iconics tag team, I think Peyton Royce has dramatically improved over the last year or two. I think Peyton Royce might be, as crazy as this sounds, she might end up being the breakout star of 2021. I don't know why. I just get, I'm not saying it's going to, I just get a weird vibe that I think that they're going to give her a chance. You got to understand, when she's part of the Iconics, even if she's on a roll in the ring, she's got to tag her partner. So now with her being singles, she might be able to show everything. And look, she could end up sucking.
But you know what? I'll disagree with you on this level alone. I think Bianca Belair will be 2021. You want to sit there and say it's going to be Peyton Royce? If you're going to put Peyton Royce up there for 2021,
okay,
I think Bianca Belair is going to explode in 2021 and going to be that girl.
Yeah. You know what? Let's compromise. Bianca Belair will explode on Raw, and Peyton Royce will explode on SmackDown.
You might be right. Absolutely.
Because look, Sasha and Bailey and Charlotte, they're already top shelf. So, there's not even a dispute with them. Hey, we'll see what happens. And we can't discount.
Just opinion, dude. That's all it is.
That's awesome.
It's what I like in women's wrestling versus what you like in women's wrestling. That's the other thing too, is that I don't want people to sit there and think that I'm speaking for everyone. I'm not. No. I'm just speaking for myself. I know you have differing opinions. Mm-hmm. When it comes to women's wrestling, I have a style that I appreciate. I have things that women do in the ring that I appreciate more than what other women do. And I'm not short selling the other women. They're just not my forte. Yeah. When it comes to matches with Carmella in the ring, I am not a fan. I know that there's people out there that say Mella is money. They spend money on Carmella. They love everything she does. They listen to every podcast episode she did with Corey Graves. I'm not one of those people. If she's not on my television, I'm better for it. Okay. It's just an opinion, dude. Yeah.
Speaking of Mia Yim, I have a tweet of hers when we're going to wrap up Raw in 2 moments, and we have one last topic to talk about, and then we'll get out of here. But we'll get to Mia Yim in a moment. Kevin Owens, he's supposed to do the Kevin Owens show with Bray Wyatt. Bray is just shown on the screen doing a Firefly Funhouse segment. KO doesn't want to wait till Friday. And basically, all this was tonight was an advertisement for everybody to tune in Friday to see this match. That's all it was. Aleister Black showing up and laying out Kevin Owens, because when Bray Wyatt did not come out face-to-face with Kevin Owens in the ring, after Kevin Owens threw all the furniture out of the ring for the KO show, Kevin Owens went up the rampway saying he's going to find Bray Wyatt, and Aleister Black cuts him off and nails him. And I'm starting to feel like Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black could very well end up being a Hell in a Cell match, but I get this weird feeling they might get drafted separate brands. They better make the match quickly. They better make the match fast. Because if they get drafted as separate brands, they could say, well, the match was already announced. So the match will still go down at Hell in a Cell.
That would be interesting only because then you negate the reason for the match.
And you also negate my whole storyline idea of Kevin Owens turning and joining Retribution.
Right.
So
I don't know. I hope that. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something that was just. Even though they had a brawl, and even though they went through some furniture, the Braun Strowman, Keith Lee stuff, the idea of it, I agree with you. This is setting up something in the future. And I think that'll be awesome. But what they did tonight was just horrible. Now, we got no Raw Underground. We got no Raw Underground for a second week in a row because of the COVID. Right. So Braun Strowman shows up, and I thought this was such a horrible storyline. Braun wants to just beat up someone. And Adam Pearce says, no, because you're not a Raw star. And as soon as I heard that, my immediate thought was, wait a minute, what happened to this that you could go on a different brand 4 times a year and all this other stuff? And Adam Pearce is like, what I will give you instead is I'll give you, what did they call it? An exhibition match. An exhibition match. So basically, anything really goes. And Keith Lee steps up for the challenge. So now we think Keith Lee, Braun Strowman exhibition match. It's going to be a wild brawl.
Right.
And do you remember last week when we were having a conversation where we thought that WWE sometimes has refs end matches stupidly, and that could be a new Keith Lee. You know how Keith Lee always ends things in Lee on his social media? Maybe tonight could be Stupid Lee. It's not his fault, but Adam Pearce puts him in an exhibition match, and then it ends in a countout.
Right.
This is one of the examples where the referee, and again, you even hear Braun Strowman say, what are you, stupid? It's an exhibition match. There is no countouts. This is an example of what we were talking about, everybody, where WWE has a referee do a stupid call intentionally. This was WWE's way of stopping this match abruptly where it made no sense. It was an exhibition match.
4 times now. 4 times that a referee has made a stupid decision in the last, month and a half?
Yeah.
Mickey James was one. What was it, Andrade? Not Andrade.
Angel Garza.
Yeah, Garza with the roll-up, the 2. He kicked out at the 2, and the ref still called 3.
Well, no, that was Andrade because Angel Garza was outside the ring. But
yeah, Garza. Right. It was Andrade that got pinned on the 2, which was BS. There was another one, too, where a referee screwed up.
Yeah.
And then tonight, dude, I don't know if that's going to be a storyline, but man, oh man, it's starting to stink.
That is such a part of my language. That is such a pussy way out of a match. It's like because we can't figure out how to. And that's another thing about this match. It doesn't reflect the record books, so this match never took place.
Right, it's an exhibition.
It doesn't make sense because the whole storyline was somebody could show up on Raw or SmackDown 4 times a year. And Braun Strowman hasn't used all 4 of his spots yet, which is really, really stupid. But I'm definitely feeling what will happen in the future. I don't mind a Braun Strowman-Keith Lee feud. I think that actually would be pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I just think the whole referee botching stuff is
why would you count him out? It ended in a count out, and the match lasted a minute. I just thought it was a waste. Speaking of waste,
too many. No, who was it? Who else was it? Was it Drew McIntyre? See, because somebody went on. What was that other?
Drew didn't one of his matches with Randy Orton end with a referee kind of like with a shoddy 3 count? I think so.
Right. Dude,
I think so.
They're screwing with the refs for some reason. There's got to be some reason. Because they had Mickey James and Trish Stratus talk about it on, what was it, The View, The Bit? What is the other show? The shit?
Oh, The Bump.
The Bump, whatever, yeah. So Trish Stratus and Mickey James were on The Bump a few weeks ago, and Mickey brought it up there. And then Drew did a show. I think it was either Drew or Orton. I think it might have been Orton. Orton did a show where he talked about it. Like they're openly bringing it up too. So does that mean we're going to have some kind of a ref storyline down the road?
No, I think it's just cop-outs to end matches without explanation.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. And Lone Wolf, it was not a match, DT. Why'd the ref count out Braun Strowman?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm saying like they should have just there should have been no ref. They should have or the ref is there just to count to 3. But even that, if the match doesn't count, I don't know. You know what I compare it to? I compare it to baseball. Before the baseball season starts, you may have a novelty game where, let's say the Yankees will play their AAA affiliate. It's just an exhibition game. It doesn't really count in the record books, but while the game is going, they're still following all the rules. There's still 3 outs in every half inning. There's still 9 innings in a game. You know, all the rules are still there. It just doesn't count in the record books. So, you know, I don't know. The more I think about it, maybe the ref should have counted out Braun Strowman. Think about it. If you could have used it, the more I think about it, it actually does make sense now. Because a baseball game, if it was an exhibition game, they're not going to say, okay, no, there's no outs. There's no outs. Edge.
Right.
Somebody's going to get pissed off when I do that. So, anyway, no Cedric Alexander again, by the way. Interesting that we got T-Bar, or as an MVP said, T-Bag. Did you catch that tonight? MVP called him T-Bag in a promo. Because the night they were named, on my tweet, I called him T-Bag. I think everybody on Twitter called him T-Bag by now.
Right.
Yeah, but, we talked about the tag match already. Let's talk first about the 24/7 title. this is getting a little bit out of hand. It's the same people every week. Gulak this time is dressed up like a janitor guy, and R-Truth thinks it's Randy Orton, but it's not. Drew Gulak beats him after R-Truth slips on water and falls backwards. Then later on, Gulak is standing in front of this big garbage bin, and it ends up that Tozawa is in a garbage pail, and R-Truth is there, and all three of them in this big garbage bin, and all you see is like plastic bags flying up in the air, and the referee starts counting, and R-Truth got his baby back. So that was our 24/7 stuff for the night.
Real quick, let me throw this out here too. The other referee thing was with Paul Heyman and Charlie Robinson, where Robinson was yelling at Roman as what the hell was he doing? And Paul Heyman is literally explaining to Charles Robinson that he was breaking the count. That could have been part of storyline, but that was another one of those instances where a referee is screwing up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying. And Charles Robinson is a veteran pro. Like isn't he pretty much now the oldest referee on the roster?
I think so. Charles Robinson is great.
Yeah, he is. But that's what I'm saying. Trying to convince me that Charles Robinson is screwing up now is just odd. It's just an odd thing.
It's like a virus. It spreads. It spreads. I hate to say it like that, but it spreads. So, so let's talk. We already talked a lot about Mustafa Ali. How it went down was that he was supposed to have a match with MVP. MVP, frustrated, he brings Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to the ring. And before they could beat up Mustafa Ali, the lights flicker. Retribution logo is on the screen. Then we see Slapjack, T-Bar, and Mace around the ring area. They're back a day or two early, if people did the math, which was fine. No complaints. Then MVP asks Mustafa Ali to join them in fighting Retribution. And we think for a minute that Mustafa Ali is going to join them, but instead Mustafa Ali actually joins Retribution, and basically the Hurt Business get their ass kicked. And that's it. Ali posed in the ring with Retribution. As we showed you before, that is him. And, let's see what happens. That's really all I could say. I mean, right now, it's got to be unique. It's got to feel unique. It cannot just feel that just any insert random wrestler in the WWE roster and they can fill that role. Because Ali being a member, I'm fine with. Him being the mastermind, it's a hard sell, man. It's a hard sell. Feels like Bully Ray, aces and 0.8s. So,
but you're right, though. Him as a member, it's a smart move. It's a smart move because now they're bridging the gap between unknown Slipknot members and WWE people that have been established for a while.
Yeah.
People that probably should be on different spots of the card, maybe should have gotten a little bit more, whatever it might be. I agree with him being a part of Retribution. Storyline-wise, it makes sense. But you're right. The leader? Really?
Yeah.
He's going to the Hulk Hogan? Come on.
That wasn't even necessary tonight. That wasn't necessary. Why not just have him be a member of Retribution? It just felt forced. It's almost like, 2 weeks ago when they got contracts, they were in a match, and they got all these things all in one night. It just felt like, wow, you just threw all these things together, and they threw this together at the same time. And don't get me wrong, everybody. I said this a few times tonight. I am 100% fine with Mustafa Ali being in Retribution, but it's got to make sense. And, it just feels just trying to tie things together that were poorly put together. It was very poorly done.
Completely anticlimactic too? Like, was this a big enough? All right, so let's say Mustafa is the actual leader, right? Was this tonight, was this a big enough angle to reveal him as the leader of Retribution?
Samoa Joe doesn't think so.
Oh, dude, he was laughing his ass off. He was literally laughing. Go back.
I think Samoa Joe may still be part of Retribution. Remember I said one night they got to take over the announcer's booth.
I just thought that if this is the reveal for the mastermind behind Retribution, it was very, very low key. Yeah. Nobody was expecting it tonight. Was there any reason to expect that the mastermind behind Retribution was going to appear? No. There was no hints. There was no clues. It's literally just booking out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah. It's like, Mustafa, we're going to put you in Retribution. Oh, and by the way, you're going to be the leader.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. So, main event tonight, Street Profits teaming up with Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode.
Yeah.
This is the same formula, the very boring, the very predictable formula that we have watched WWE for decades do. Have the champion lose to give the suspension of disbelief that if he could get pinned now, he could possibly get pinned for the title. Now, it happens all across the board. As weird as it sounds, I think this might be the first time that Drew McIntyre has been pinned since he's become WWE Champion, because I was thinking about it tonight, like, when was the last time he got pinned? I honestly can't remember. But this is all designed to give that suspension of disbelief that Randy Orton may finally have Drew McIntyre's number. And, you know, the match was fun, but it was quick. And you knew that when everybody cleared the ring and it was just Drew and Randy was, you know, on his knees, and Drew was going to hit the Claymore, and instead Drew gets distracted for a second. Randy hits the RKO, match over. And I tell you, I brought this up Friday, and I think I'm going to start repeatedly bringing it up. As we get closer to Hell in a Cell, the more and more I'm starting to feel like Drew McIntyre may actually lose this belt. And we will look back at 2020. Drew McIntyre will be the COVID champion. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, you're right. I mean, his entire run has been tainted. Most of it outside of his control. But at this point, you kind of have to leave the belt on them until they're ready to have an audience back. And now that they're starting to do it with NXT, you can only imagine that the regular WWE shows are not far behind. So you're at this position with keep the belt on Drew no matter what until they start opening up the doors and people start coming back. And once they do that, then you take the belt off of them. That's what you do.
I almost feel...
Right. You sacrifice his career. You sacrifice Drew McIntyre's career so that other people's careers aren't affected.
I almost feel like WWE may intentionally have him drop the belt before they have, you know, like decent number of fans on shows again. That his entire championship reign will be not in front of live fans.
Yeah, his career is screwed.
Well, the consolation is he could get the belt back next year.
You're going to have to do a lot to make people forget about this year. People aren't going to forget about this year for at least another 10 years. This year is going to scar not just, well, obviously it's scarring the hell out of us in real life.
Yeah.
But as far as wrestling goes, no. Now, Drew's take my word on this one. His career is done. He's going to be mid-card for life after this. People are not going to find him exciting, and it's not his fault. It's just the gamble of the dice, and that's it.
I wouldn't go that far, but it is something to be concerned about because WWE has a track record of doing that to people. So
during COVID. There's only
not during COVID, but it's a mindset. It's just a mindset, and COVID or not, you know, they could put I think of Christian. Remember, Christian won the belt. We were all ecstatic. He lost it right away, and the internet went bonkers about it. And then Christian said, "Don't worry, everybody, I'll get it back." And he got it back for 2 seconds, and that was it.
Right.
That was it?
Yeah, but Christian was a different story because he was bouncing around. Drew didn't have any other options. And the reason that I think that Drew's career is pretty much done, look, it's because I'm trying to be honest about it. I know a lot of people want to think like, oh, everything is going to get better. It's not going to stay bad. There's... everything recovers, right? Like Drew, it's not Drew's fault. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The people that are saying the nice positive things about Drew after all of this, they're not going to be the ones that are going to change WWE's mind. His career is going to be hurt by this permanently. I'm not saying that he's going to get canned for it or nothing, but if you're expecting some kind of major push after this and people getting behind it, no way.
We'll see. But that was your Raw tonight. And before we go, one quick topic we got to talk about. There's really not a lot of discussion, but we've talked about WWE and the third-party accounts. And, we understand why, some people were using Twitch or Cameo and others were using their WWE names. And the WWE told them to stop it. And now the word is that based on their contracts, which I think are now outdated, because when the skeleton of these contracts were made up many years ago, this was before accounts like Twitch and others. But now what's starting to happen, and the word is going around, is that WWE has told their roster that if you keep a Twitch account, even if it's under your real name, because you're still working for us, whether you want to call them an employee or independent contractor, they get a percentage. Now, I think back, and no one online has made this reference, because I went on Twitter and I typed it in the search box to see if anybody made this comparison, and nobody did. So I'm going to throw it out there. I think back to NWA TNA about 15 years ago, where if wrestlers wanted to work other promotions and it didn't conflict with NWA TNA schedule, I don't know if it was Scott D'Amore. I don't remember who the person was. Maybe someone in the chat remembers who it was. No, it was Bill Behrens. Bill Behrens, name from the past. Oh, wow. What they would do is that wrestler could work any shows they wanted, but they had to give a percentage of the gate of their pay to NWA TNA. Bill Behrens was the one that set up everybody's stuff. Even if a wrestler wrestled under their real name, they still had to give a cut to Bill Behrens and NWA TNA. So the thing is, so I can understand, as far as the contract goes, why this is a very sticky situation, but the reason why I really started to get angry at WWE is because of many tweets that have come out recently, and different comments, different points, but the one from Mia Yim really got to me more than anybody else, because Mia Yim actually wrote this, I think it might have been yesterday or the day before. She writes that gaming has been her escape from reality and a way to interact with friends and fans through this difficult few months. The community that she has gained on Twitch also helped her raise funds for a friend's funeral and a friend's kidney transplant. That is why she games. So now WWE wants to either take cut of that, or whatever their downside guarantee or whatever it is, like if they make X amount of dollars on Twitch, that's deducted from that. My honest opinion on this is simple. And I'm not saying that I'm a legal attorney or a master in business. I have run my own business for 22 years now, and I know about the legalese because I work in the finance field. I will say this. I know Paige posted a cryptic tweet today.
Now, did you see her previous tweets? Because Paige deserves, if you're going to take shots at Mia, you need to throw
No, I'm not taking shots at Mia. I'm 100% behind Mia.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm 100. The Mia tweet got me angrier at WWE.
Oh, okay.
And that led me to look into this further. But what did Paige write before the unionism tweet?
Paige, all right, so her first response about the whole thing was this just random Twitter. Says, I mean, yeah, but you got your fan from the fan base. Not like you grinded from one viewer like most streamers. Bringing up the fact that, her argument against WWE's rules on Twitch doesn't really apply to her, or at least that's what this person is saying. It doesn't apply to her because most Twitch streamers start from zero. And she responded, she's like, no, difference is I grinded for 15 years for my fan base, wrestling, that I brought over to Twitch. Also dropping the raids and 50 bombs on smaller streamers to help them grow. Not for bitter people like you, though. Work hard and you'll get a fan base, too. Twitch is my place, what I built with my wonderful fans. A place where my people can go and feel some positivity and a little bit of normalcy. Fun, interactive, non-judgmental, charitable place. I'm proud of what I built with my fan base.
This is what I have to say about it. This is what I have to say about it, honestly. I know this probably will not happen because not everybody in WWE games, but somebody in WWE has to get a lot of the wrestlers together on a Zoom. They have to discuss this, and somebody, and I usually don't condone things like this, but in this case, I'm 100% behind it. They have to anonymously threaten a walkout. And I don't think WWE has any right to Twitch money. And I'll tell you why. Because what is one way to make money on Twitch? Donations.
Oh, I thought you were going to say wear a low-cut shirt.
Well, that too, but donations. The thing is that if someone is on social media, I'll give you an example. All right, see Mia Yim, her tweet really affected me. She raised money. She paid for a friend's funeral, helped pay for someone's kidney transplant. To me, that's no different of when Sami Zayn did like sewers for Sammy or clean water for Sam, something with Syria. And I donated to that also. My point is that a donation is not solicited. If I want to give Paige, I'm just using an example. If I want to give Paige $100, just to give her $100, for whatever reason I want to do it, she's not asking me for the money. She is not telling me, in return of this money, I am giving you this, this, and this. If she unsolicitedly takes $100 from me, the only person that she has to answer to about that $100 is the IRS, not WWE. I personally think that somebody like Paige or someone else has to call WWE out on this, not verbally.
I'm okay with. Look. Let me throw this out here. First off, I'm okay with WWE taking a cut, but let's be honest about it. Up, down, right? With Xavier Woods, they do that show, the gaming show and stuff like that. They also broadcast that on the WWE network. So the fact that up, down, Xavier Woods pays WWE money for having a YouTube show makes sense because WWE is going out of their way to promote it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Right.
But
so if WWE wants to claim money from Paige, wants to claim money from Mia Yim, that's fine. Let them keep their names, promote their stuff on the network or whatever other means, maybe WWE's network, but you have to give them something. You can't just claim their personal lives as yours because they happen to be on your TV show.
Yeah. See, if Mia Yim is just playing a game on Twitch and she talks about how a friend of hers passed away and they're trying to get money together for a funeral, and I see that and I say, look, it's not much, but here's $50. And someone else says, look, here's $20.
Right.
And someone says, look, here's $100. And they again, the only person she has to answer to with that money is the IRS. WWE is not the government. WWE is not a tax. WWE has no right legally to take donation money. So what they have to do is if WWE wants to play that game, you got to play it back. Right. If you eliminate these tiers and eliminate that, if you donate this, I give you this, or we'll sign this, or I'll call you, you have to get rid of all of that. And if you're just accepting donations unsolicited, and you don't have to give anything in return, WWE cannot claim a penny for that. Because WWE has no way to determine that if I'm tuning in to her because I'm a WWE fan, or I think someone is hot, or plays the same games as me, or just is a cool person to hang out with online.
Right.
The problem is, this is why originally when I titled tonight's show and I set up the title, I wrote DT Mish's message to WWE Twitch stars, grow a set. I changed it to taking a quote from a Public Enemy song, Fight the Power. What these wrestlers have to do, and I don't think that they will, they need to fight the power. I personally think that you see all of these wrestlers writing these cryptic, subliminal comments, taking shots at WWE. If so many people on that roster truly feels that way, if they turned around and somebody anonymously, almost like the John thing with the anonymous person that went to the Florida government and said, shut WWE down. I didn't condone that. But if you're going to do something like that, John should be making the threat that these people are getting money based on donations. WWE has no right to take that money. And if they don't lay off on this, WWE's a lot of their wrestlers are gonna stage a walkout. And I guarantee you that if 80 or 90% of their roster does not show up on a Monday or Friday to make a statement in support of each other, that they have no right to take donations or anything like that, you will see WWE immediately call their lawyers and cave in and allow them to keep that money as long as it is unsolicited. Dude, end of story. The problem is that these wrestlers, it's not what? Tell me where I'm wrong.
It'll never happen because WWE, let alone wrestlers in general, can't even come to the table to form a union.
Right.
Let alone
they shouldn't have a union.
Walkout.
They shouldn't have a union.
But that's what I'm saying. They can't even come to the table to even say that we shouldn't have a union.
If they have a union, they'll get benefits, and then their contracts they get offered will be $20, $30, $50, $100,000 less.
No, nothing. I understand that. I'm not saying that, but I mean they can't even agree to disagree. And you want them to all stage a walkout? No, that ain't
somebody. Good. Let me put it this way, and I've said this before. I like Andrew Yang.
Yes.
Andrew Yang is playing politics right now. Andrew Yang may convince someone to grow a set and actually confront WWE from within, but Andrew Yang is not going to lead no movement, even if Biden gets elected president. How is Andrew Yang going to override what judges have ruled in favor of WWE for decades?
Right.
Andrew Yang has no right to that. President has no right to override what courts have ruled. If that was the case, the wall would have been built 4 years ago. There would have been no DACA. Obamacare would have been history. The problem is that judges will rule against it. And then it has to be appealed and it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. So the thing is that with all due respect to these WWE stars, if all you're going to do is make subliminal comments on social media and you don't actually stand up and fight the power and have a set and confront in a group, in unison, you may not have a union, but you could all as a unity, UNITY, all you have to do is if everybody got together and said, look, they have no right taking a portion of the money that I would have raised for someone's funeral or someone's this. And again, Mia Yim should not have to go to WWE and say, look, I made $10,000, $3,000 went here, $2,000 went to a funeral, $1,000 went to my car, $50 went to Grubhub, $200. That's the IRS's job, not WWE's job. If I was those WWE stars, you make your Twitches by donation only. No tiers, nothing like that. Yes, the money will be less because you're not giving things in return anymore, but you get to keep it all.
It'll never happen.
I agree with you.
Dude, we're talking about the company that is supposedly punishing Lana for what her husband says. You think all of these wrestlers are going to get together for a couple of Twitch streamers and risk their job?
There's a bigger picture here.
Banishment from the McMahon Hall of Fame?
It's a bigger picture. There's only about 30 people that are on TV on Monday. Let's just say, just use an example. If 20 of those 30 decided on Monday, we're not going to show up at Raw tonight because we're against WWE trying to take Twitch money that is raised by donations. You would have WWE on the phone with their lawyers almost immediately to update these contracts that basically they'll put clauses in there and say, as long as it's donations, as long as you use your real name, and as long as you don't use...
but I don't understand the correlative thought. Seriously, why in the hell would Roman Reigns give any fucks about Paige's Twitch stream? That's what I need you to convince me of, because I don't understand that. Why would Roman Reigns care about Baron Corbin's Twitch stream?
Right. But if enough people walk out...
Roman job?
Right, but if enough...
Baron Corbin's Twitch stream.
Right, but if enough people walk out right before a SmackDown live on Thunderdome, that forces Roman Reigns to wrestle 5 matches in one night, a gauntlet, because there's nobody there.
Dude, Owen Hart fell to his death and people didn't walk out.
Yeah, it's just,
I think you have a different concept of how people are in the company. None of them will fight for anyone. They won't.
It's a shame, man. It's a shame. I feel bad for them. And like I said, the Mia Yim tweet, I was like, man, that's just messed up.
It's a brilliant point, but it'll never happen. It'll never happen. You won't have the entire company stand up for that.
Yeah.
You can't get normal people to stand up for that.
I wish, honestly, truthfully, I wish there was something that I could do. There's nothing that I can do. I mean, the only time people have to step up for themselves.
You're right.
I mean, if these wrestlers, some of them had the balls, say to WWE, I don't feel comfortable wrestling during COVID. I'm staying home. And some got to keep their jobs. So maybe that is the beginning of wrestlers starting to stand up for WWE. And I got news for you. If they did stage a walkout and then they were fired or released as a result of it, that could possibly end up with a real legit wrongful termination lawsuit because there's nothing in the contract that specifically says if a fan gives me money without me asking for it and giving anything in return and it's not related to WWE, why do I have to give WWE a percentage of that? It's pretty cut and dry. The problem is, like you said, you're not going to see these people stand up, fight the power, and threaten a walkout or something else. I mean, I just think I agree that
they need to. I totally do. I think you're right. I think that they need to stand up for something. But we've been saying that about WWE employees for years.
Yeah.
For years, even before Benoit. We were saying that these people need to unite, do something for themselves,
Yeah.
do something to better the entire company. And they've never done it. Yeah. And there's been different people that have tried, from Vito to Jesse Ventura to everybody.
Yeah,
there's
but
been so many people that have tried. Never happened.
A union would ruin a lot of people, though. I don't agree on a union. But being united and all in unison, look, that's messed up, man. Mia Yim, she raised the money for good causes, and you're trying to take a cut of that. I think that should inflame enough people on that roster to somebody anonymous to say, look, if you're going to try to take money from donations.
Not if it's going to cost them feeding their kids. If standing up for Mia Yim has even the potential of losing their paycheck to feed their wife and kids, people aren't going to do it. Not now, not in the middle of COVID. No way.
Yeah. I think WWE, if a good ending comes out of this, we will hear soon that WWE is having their lawyers amend contracts to allow third party under specific circumstances. If you want to use your wrestling banner, if you want to use this, or if you want to, you offer something in return, no problem. But we get whatever we get. But if you're using your real name and somebody wants to send you money, look, here's $20, keep up the good work, love, twitching with you. WWE has no only person responsible that those people have to answer to is the government, not WWE. WWE doesn't claim to be their employer, and now they want to claim to also be their tax on top of it. Nah, man, I think this is a case where WWE is $1 billion company, and they can afford paying a lawyer to fight things in court all day long, all year long, and WWE pushes as far as they can, and everyone out there unfortunately puts their tail between their legs, doesn't want to stand up, and WWE keeps the stranglehold. And again, I am not in favor of a union at all, but there's got to be some unity. And I think if enough people threaten to walk out, whatever it is, you could even pick a date, November 24th.
It's not going to happen.
I know.
It's just not. I mean, I know you want it to happen, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's too many jobs. There's too many lives at stake besides one or two people on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's too much. You're asking too much from people.
Yeah.
In the middle of a pandemic where people that have
they got to
been
take
fired
whatever they can get.
Still don't have jobs.
Yeah.
The people that have been furloughed and let go of WWE this year still don't have jobs. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If this was 2021, 2022, you may have something. There might be enough goodwill in the company at that point that they would stand up for each other. But right now, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah. And listen, guys, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning over here, so we're going to jet. But the union discussion, maybe we'll save that for next week. We'll talk a little bit about unions and explain why it's a horrible idea. Yes, you get a little bit of security, but at the expense of a lot of things, and a lot of people will lose a lot of money and a lot of freedom. So, but yeah, we'll continue this conversation next week. So, Mish, pleasure as always. I know you and I will be back tomorrow night on Patreon. It'll be Q&A with the VIPers, associate producers, and sponsors. The topics will be completely different from tonight. I'm sure of it. So, and everyone,
just so you know, 7 inches.
Sorry. So here's the schedule for this week, everybody. Tomorrow night on Patreon, I'll talk to Mish as far as what time we start, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever, but I think probably like 9. But tomorrow on Patreon, it'll be Mish and I doing breakfast soup for Patreon. Wednesday, I will be here at 10:05 for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Thursday night at 9:30 p.m., you have Wrestling Soup with Mish and Joey Numbers. Shout out to Joey. And then Friday night, over here on YouTube, I will be here with the Don Toni Show. So that is the plan for the next 4 days. And Sunday, I'll be doing a Q&A as well. So, Mish, pleasure as always. Thank you for staying up a little later tonight.
No worries. We'll make sure we get done early tomorrow, too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Much love.
All right, everybody. Much love.
Take care. And by the way, I know a few of you out there were asking where I got this shirt. My fiance bought it for me on Amazon. A few people were asking about this shirt. So you have no idea. As a goof, I had a credit on Amazon. I actually bought a shirt that, wow, that's a little creepy. Look at the thing right now. The show, Mish's video is over. And look at that. Tell me that, you ever see that picture that blah, blah, blah is watching you masturbate? Tell me right now that doesn't look like Mish is watching you masturbate. Look at that freeze frame. It's like perfect. But what I was saying is, as a goof, I bought a shirt that is flesh tone colored. And the shirt is a 3D printout of a hairy chest. And you put it on, and it looks like I have no shirt on, and I have this unbelievable bush of hair on my chest. Kind of looks almost as bad as 20 years ago when you saw the infamous picture of me posing with Daphne. I don't think I have that picture available. Yeah, I probably don't. I don't think I do. Yeah, because I would have pulled it up here now as a goof, but I don't believe that I have it. I'm going to look for 2 seconds. I'm scrolling through my pictures. I'm sorry for people who are audio only and they're like, oh, you can't see it. We can only hear it. I'm looking. I don't see it. I'm almost done scrolling up and down the wall. There is a slight possibility that it's here, but I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not. So, you know what? Maybe next week I'll pull it up for everybody. Give you an idea what Don Tony looked like with a crazy hairy chest back in the day. Oh, wait a minute. Is it here? No, it's not here. It's not. All right. Well, anyway. Oh, it is. It is. Oh, persistence always pays off. Yeah, if you want to see the Chia Pet, there you go. That is undoctored. For some reason, I had a haircut like Jerry the King Lawler. That is me from 2002, Chilla Convention. My God, look at that hair. Those black patches. I mean, it looked like I had grass growing inside the link chain. I'm wearing a link chain. Look at that hair. I mean, look at that. I was never a fan of Jerry Lawler. It looks like I had the Jerry Lawler haircut and the Jerry Lawler goatee. The hell is that, man? That was the look back day. And Mish is still watching you masturbate. I tell you, man, tonight's show was a blast. It was a blast. Some good laughs, good times. And trust me when I tell you, I know Mish is not a softie as much as me. But when you see both of us with smiles on our faces, it is 1,000% authentic. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Before you exit, if you really liked it, give it a thumbs up. Believe me when I tell you, I don't need to tell you, but if you go watch YouTube videos of makeup, cooking, unboxing, watch-alongs, at the end of everybody's shows, they always say the same thing. If you enjoyed the show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the show, give it a thumbs down. And don't forget, subscribe so you get notified of all the videos. And make sure you click the bell so you know. I mean, there's algorithms that, the more you interact, the more exposure we get. And I know there's still some people out there that are hoping that this is just a phase, that DT is going to go back and not do YouTube anymore and go back to the way it was before. I invest all this time, energy, and, just everything to make this fail. We are hell-bent on making this work, and I am not satisfied. I absolutely love the fact I'm looking at it. 2,100 people tuned in tonight, not all at the same time, but I also love the fact that we have over 16,000 subscribers, and we're not even doing it 9 months. Some people don't even get 16,000 subscribers in 5-10 years. We got it in 9 months, a little less than 9 months. I will not be happy until we get at least 100,000 subscribers here. But I don't know, it'll be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a wild ride. We're in the unknown right now. I mean, it seems like Mish and I are very relaxed with the video. We're having fun, and I love wearing some funky shirts. I love Mish's red background with the flag and everything. And And we're just starting. So anyway, thank you for the support tonight. I will check you all if you want to check out Patreon. It's the beginning of the month, so if you sign up, you get the whole month. Patreon.com/Don Tony. If not, join me here Wednesday night, 30 Years of Jericho. We got the dog collar match with Cody and Brody Lee. And there's a lot of stuff planned for Wednesday. And we'll see the fallout from TakeOver. And we'll talk about it. So, everyone, much love as always. I'll catch you all again tomorrow or Wednesday. So, ciao, everybody. I just realized, why did I do this? Ciao, everybody.